What do you want me to yell?
Just give me 5.
Let me know when to do it.
Okay, because I need to man my camera. So in case there's somebody watching me, and I'll say,
Luke will watch you, and Luke, when he's ready to go,
thumbs up. We're live.
tap me on the shoulder, and we'll start, okay?
Just start.
I start.
1 minute.
Okay. I'll be on the field. I'll text you if I see anything. Or injury update. Text me and okay?
I'm real slow with that.
Well, either
slow
way.
with the text.
Either of you.
All right.
Stand by. I'm going to cue you separately. Okay, we are on the air. 7, 6. Go ahead.
Welcome to Antioch High School here in Antioch, California. It's time for BVAL football. Anthony Schultz along with Dan Wall and Luke Johnson of Delta Sports Magazine. And guys, I think we're going to have a fantastic game. Here comes the Kevin Hartwig's crew out on the field in their travel whites with the blue pants, and Dan Wall. This should be an excellent game. We know how good Antioch is, and Najee. The Falcons have some offense as well.
Well, Tony, this is the first real challenge for Antioch in a long time. As you've been following along and seen the scores, 53-12, 64. It's been unbelievable. But now they're playing a team that has been ranked. They're 3-3, but they've played a much tougher schedule, and they have some skilled players of their own that could match Najee Harris.
Here's Mather's kick to the 5, to the 10, out across the 15, 20, 25, and spilled out along the 30-yard line. And Luke Johnson, tell us some interesting stories for this ball game.
Well, to add to that, I asked Kevin Hartwig, what does he have to do to end Antioch's reign of dominance? He said, Antioch looks really good on paper, so what we have to do is throw our paper at their paper and get the result. Antioch hasn't defeated Freedom since 2009, back when head coach John Lucido was still a defensive coordinator.
All right, here's that Antioch offense. Newman Najib is the quarterback, Najee Harris and Kobe Beltran, the running backs, Payne and Freitas, the wide receivers. We'll give you the rest in just a moment. Najee across that left side, breaks a couple of tackles, and Najee spills out across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. And then the rest of that line, Hofoka's the tight end, Combs, Sahota, Brown, Kyle Jarvis, and Justin Kennard across that front line for the Antioch Panthers.
And, Tony, that's what they're going to have to do, gang tackle Harris.
It's going to be a big one, and the pitch, and Harris running wide right. He's going to pick up some yardage here. He's going to be short of the first down as he gets out to about the 37-yard line. And here now the defense for the Freedom Falcons. Brandon Costin is one of the defensive ends. Jimmy Cartwright, Andrew Perez, Santiago Ramirez across that front line. Harmon, Longren, Thompson, Darrell Brown of the linebackers, Kolako, Moocher, and Corey Cox in the defensive secondary. And here's going to be a hit and a loss, and this is going to bring up fourth down here for Antioch. Nowhere to go for Najee, Luke, and they're going to have to punt the football.
Well, maybe not. Because they don't punt the ball out, but we'll see.
It looks like they are bringing out the punting unit.
Hartwig told me before this game that the team has to collectively tackle Harris. He feels that most teams haven't been doing that they've been trying to solo tackle him. He just wants players to get great angles, to set up other players for good tackles.
Yeah, we had a couple of games early in the season, and no, they haven't been tackling Harris.
Well, that might be the first 3 and out on the
problem.
opening drive, Tony, that Antioch's had all year. That's a good kick by Perry.
And here's a punt. Perry gets this one out to 28, out across the 30, 35, out across the 40 to about the 42-yard line. So a nice return there for the Freedom Falcons, and they'll set up shop 1st and 10.
That was Ronnie Rivers, son of Ron Rivers, played in the NFL for 7 years, backed up Barry Sanders.
Did he play for the Bears too?
Also had 1 year with the Bears. Yeah, he's the Freedom's running back coach.
Now here's the Freedom offensive starters. Joe Sweeney and a quarterback. The aforementioned Ronnie Rivers and Kevin Lonergan are the running backs. Dominic Dominguez, Bele Colston, Gio Falolo is the tight end. And
He's a
Merrill,
stud.
Taekwondo, Mayer, Marchett, and Furr across that front line for the 3-3 Freedom Falcons.
And watch him.
Like somebody jumped here.
Watch him look to Falolo. This is something Antioch hasn't had to face either, is a prolific passing offense so far this season.
Yeah, Luke and I were looking at a couple of highlights of Falolo, and he looks like a pretty big kid and a hard guy to bring down and to cover.
He's a dual threat tight end, really good at blocking, running, and catching.
So here's that Antioch defense. That penalty will be assessed against them. So a slow start for the Cats. Joey Gray, Sir Forbes, and Kyle Brown across that front line. Kobe Beltran, Finejo Foca, and Nick Perry, a very talented linebacker crew. Miles Aguiar, Dawson Boyd, and here's a big play going down the other side. It's going to be incomplete. Some single coverage here on the near side. Boyd, Najee Harris, Antoine Tanner, and Ryan Payne in the defensive secondary, and a lot of two-way players on that defense for Antioch.
Yeah, Payne right there on that deflection. Payne, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the league. Very skilled on offense, defense, and special teams.
Sir Forbes also, guys, was there to give Sweeney a little bit of pressure on that pass.
Handoff. Rivers cuts it back up inside, loses the football, and it looks like Antioch has recovered at midfield, and they have. So a fumble by Freedom. Antioch recovers, and that gets the fans going. So Antioch will get their second possession of the game right about midfield, or just on the side of the Freedom Falcons at the 49, 1st and 10 for the Panthers.
Someone must have punched that thing out because he was still standing when that ball came out.
You know, Rivers isn't very big, guys. He's not as big as Harris, definitely. He's one of those more little bowling ball kind of running backs. And if you can hit him, you can probably cause some problems on as he did on that play.
All right, here's the Antioch offense. Harris, the tailback. You're going to fake it to Najee. Newman's going to throw. He's got a man at the 40, out across the inside the 35, and that'll be a first down for the Panthers. And on that, a reception.
Kobe Beltran.
Kobe Beltran, number 10, making the catch, and that'll be a first down. They'll move the chains for Antioch.
Yeah, as you said earlier, another two-way great player.
So down to the Falcon 34-yard line. First down and 10 for the Panthers in that offset eye and that pistol formation. Harris going to get it left side wide open. Flags fly. Makes a cut at the 20 and down and inside the 10-yard line, but hold everything. This is going to be a flag thrown in the offensive backfield, and it is coming back, holding against Antioch.
They usually don't get that flag there, Tony, that means anything good for the offense on that play as well. You saw Harris that time, a little counter back to the left side. Made a nice run. That's Najee Harris, folks, if you haven't seen him. He's quite the spectacular runner, but on that play, the offensive line kind of broke down. Tony, one thing I wanted to point out, Najee, you know, he didn't do much in the first 3 or 4 games. It was in the second quarter against Pinole when he threw for 178 yards and a couple touchdowns once they decided that Harris wasn't going to do what Harris does anymore, and that's basically what – and Najeeb's had a pretty good year. He's thrown for over 700 yards.
Yeah, Najee, guys, the last few games, he's only carried the ball a handful of times, a whole lot of production, but they just haven't had to use him a whole lot.
Yeah, they've been sending him after the first quarter the past 2 games.
All right, push back to about the – and Najee under some pressure here, is trying to scramble away, going to pick up some yards anyway as he gets inside the 40 down to about the 41-yard line, and Andrew Perez came up to make the tackle there for Freedom. Actually, that was going to be Harmon on the tackle. They're very fine all-league returning linebacker. Started as a sophomore. Kid who's got a real nose for the football. Doesn't blitz a whole lot, but does cover well and has sideline-to-sideline speed. Harris up the middle, and not a whole lot of room. Pushed backwards this time. Gets to about the 35-yard line, but another good-looking defensive play against the run for Freedom, guys. And so far, they are controlling Najee Harris, at least just in the first half.
Brandon Costin made the tackle that time, and he made it by himself, which is not something that happens a lot to Harris. But they are hitting him at the point of contact, and he hasn't been able to gain a lot of yards. The only one that really worked for them is when they got caught holding.
Najee going to get it, tries the left side, kicks it back inside, and he is going to be gang tackled there. still on his feet and then finally spilled. Not much of a gain there for Najee on a 3rd and long play. So Antioch experienced some difficulties running the football right now. This is going to bring up a 4th down and a long situation as they've got to get inside the 25 to about the 23 for a 1st down.
Tony, this is where you might see Ryan Payne involved in the play, either as a runner or a receiver, because we've seen him run a couple end arounds in for touchdowns. Antioch certainly isn't going to punt in this situation.
Going to go for it, and they're going to fake it. They're going to throw. This one is caught inside the 15, down inside the 10, and that will be a 1st down. Ryan Payne, you just said it, Dan Wall, involved, and he makes the big play on 4th and long, and that's going to bring up 1st down and goal for the Panthers.
He was wide open outside, single coverage, and he got behind it. Tony ran a little flag pattern out towards the flag down about the 10-yard line, made a nice catch, and Antioch some business here inside the 10.
Well, that was a big play right there, Dan. You called it, getting Payne involved. 1st down and goal inside the 10. Harris, right side. Oh, hurdles a defender. Still on his feet. He's going to be out of bounds inside the 5 down to about the 3-yard line. And not a very long run for Najee, but a highlight reel anyway.
I was going to say on that play, Tony, interesting that they're using the short side of the field. They have that whole entire far left side to work with, and now they send 2 wide receivers out that way. Antioch don't give us a lot of time to talk. They're already back the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and goal. Give this to Najee. Looking for some room. Cuts it back inside. Touchdown, Antioch! So following the Rivers fumble, Antioch takes over at the 49-yard line. They travel 49 yards, and of course that pass play to Payne, the big play in that drive.
Well, Tony, that was Harris at his best, just like he does on these 2-point conversions, which we're going to see right now. He kind of waits for his lines blocks to set, and then he picks that hole. And then, of course, he's so big and strong and quick, gets to anywhere near the goal line, he's going to either find a way to jump or get in, and he did. Here's another. Watch this here. This guy has more 2-point conversions than just about anyone I've ever seen.
They've been excellent at this during the course of this season. Going for 2 here following the touchdown. Direct snap to Harris, looking for some room, and he just walks in for the 2-point conversion. It was 7:29 to go. Antioch takes advantage of the Falcon fumble, and they lead it 8-0.
You know what I see on that drive? The first 3 plays, they gave it to Harris. Then on the 4th play, they kind of caught Freedom on their heels, giving it to Payne. And then the very next play, they went to the short side, really caught Freedom on their heels. Now, interesting to see how Freedom adjusts next drive on defense.
All right, our game brought to you by Redwood Painting Company since 1947. Applicators of protective coating system for industry, 925-432-4500. That's the Redwood Painting Company. And HKIT Architects, architecture that enriches the community and environment. So a 49-yard drive for Antioch, and they lead it 8-0.
And very un-Antioch-like, Tony. They have 42 yards passing on that first drive, and Harris just 17 yards rushing.
So the Falcons going to get their chance on offense, and really a shame, guys, for Freedom with that fumble because their defense had really stood up. Here's from the 5-yard line, out across the 20, 25, nice cut to the outside, and racing out to about the 29-yard line. And that is number 12, Bailey Costin, the wide receiver and defensive back, making the nice return. And that's where the Falcons will set up shop 1st and 10.
I want to tell you about our refs, Tony. Ron Krupa, the ref tonight. Reese Adams, Mike Shelvelson, David Mulvey, and Mike Caveman, our veteran crew out here tonight. This is one of the bigger BVL games of the season, Tony. Really, Antioch Freedom and Antioch Pittsburgh. Once Freedom and Pittsburgh had their little battle last week, it's kind of setting up the cream of the crop in the East County.
No, on that previous play of Bailey Costin with the return, sophomore, really good football player, but especially a really good basketball player, freshman on varsity last year.
All right, here's Sweeney in the Falcon offense. Handoff, Rivers looking to cut it back inside, does, and then gets all the way out to the 35-yard line, picks up about 6 yards on 1st down. It'll bring up a 2nd down at 4. And for Joe Sweeney, 3-year starter, drop back guy with a big arm, makes all the throws. And he makes a lot of throws, guys, that other high school quarterbacks simply can't make. Not a big runner, but certainly a guy who can throw the ball deep and use that out pattern as well.
Yeah, over 4,000 career passing yards.
Sweeney going to hand off again. Rivers right side and going to pour up and out across first down yardage to the 40-yard line. So he picks up 4, maybe 5 on that play, and that'll move the sticks for Freedom, and it'll be first down.
Tony, a couple of notes about Joe Sweeney. His dad, Dave, went to school here at Antioch High School back in the 80s. His mother was the varsity basketball coach at Deer Valley, Carrie, for many years. So, and his sister is going to be a stud softball and basketball player. I saw her play in junior high, ref some of her games. She's going to be a big-time athlete at Freedom.
So quite a athletic pedigree for Joe Sweeney. Out of the shotgun now here for Joe. A couple of wide receivers to the near side. Sweeney looking, and now he is going to run, cuts it back, and then picks up some nice yardage. Nearly 5, maybe about 5 yards as he gets too close to the 45-yard line. It'll bring up second down and 5.
Sweeney isn't the fastest guy, but he's got a lot of mass, 220 pounds, not really easy to tackle him.
Well, I'll tell you, Luke, that one little cutback move that he made right there, maybe not fast, but he did have some nimble feet right there.
Tony, he also has some stats. 92 of 148, 1342, and 13 touchdowns for Sweeney through the air.
Scoring points has not been a problem for the Falcons. Sometimes stopping people has been. Rivers going to get it, and he's going to be near first down yards. He gets up to about the 49-yard. They're going to mark this one at the 48-yard line. So he picks up about 3 yards. It's going to bring up third down and about 2.
I didn't see his dad play a lot, but I know his dad held the record as the all-time rusher at Fresno State before he made it to the NFL. And played with Barry Sanders, as we mentioned, and he kind of looks like that kind of runner. He's got that shifty little step towards the line, and then he kind of picks his hole. He's not a breakaway speed kind of guy or a real powerful guy, but he just knows how to get yardage.
Sweeney under center, offset eye behind him. And Sweeney's going to trip, and the ball came loose, and he falls on it. So they are going to be able to keep the ball, but they're going to lose a couple of yards here, Luke, all the way back to the 45-yard line. And now here's one of those situations, guys, fourth down. You go ahead and kick this one away, and Freedom is going to kick it away.
No, it looks like his fullback tripped him on that play.
Yeah, that was a tough break, guys, because that was a very makeable third down. So you had the fumble on the first series, and now you have a tripping quarterback falling, and on a very makeable third down, not able to pick it up, and here's one that's nearly blocked. Somehow, that ball was able to get off, and that one is going to roll all the way inside the 10, inside the 5, down to the 4-yard line. So a ball that looked like, guys, it was going to be blocked. Somehow they got it away, and that turned out to be a great situation for the Freedom defense.
It was a 50-yard punt, and Antioch's going to start around the 5-yard line.
I don't know how that ball was not blocked. 4:25 to go here in the opening quarter from Antioch High School. 8-0 in favor of the Panthers.
This is a big drive right here, Tony, because not only are they at the 3, which is making a 97-yard drive, because Antioch doesn't kick field goals, remember, everyone. So they'll have to score a touchdown. But this would consume a lot of clock unless Harris, breaks off one of his runs. And it would kind of slow Freedom down. Freedom had some momentum, and then the fumble kind of killed that, and now they had a 3rd and short, and they had to punt.
Fake it to Najee. And now Newman looking, and he is going to be swarmed under, and he's going to lose a couple of yards as Freedom ends up getting the sack. So an interesting call there, guys. You're in the shadow of your own goalpost, and instead of running the ball with Harris, they decide to throw from the end zone.
One thing they haven't done is run Harris outside. That's his strength. He's getting hit at the line of scrimmage by their interior line. Move him and get him outside. Try to use that speed coming around the corner. It's either that or Ryan Payne.
They got him outside that one time, guys, but that's when they got that holding penalty. Najee going to get it, looking for some room. He's got a big hole. Najee tries to break a couple of tackles, swarmed under here, but he's going to be pushed out of bounds near the 15-yard line, and that will be enough for a first down.
Tony, there were more moves there than a disco Saturday night, let me tell you right there.
Dan, I was just going to say, when in doubt, just give it to Harris.
There aren't a lot of...
That always seems to work.
Well, Tony, I asked all the coaches, how do you stop them? And, the answer is usually like a bazooka, a tank, an army. But you can't use those, so the thing is tackle. They've been tackling him, but if they can get him outside, he's dynamite on the outside.
Najee barking out the singles. Harris flanked to his left. Newman looks one way, now comes back the other way, swarmed under, and he is going right down. Boy, the Falcons had that one boxed in all together with that fake. and nobody in white shirts was buying that fake at all. And that's going to be another sack on this drive.
Yeah, well, Tony, for those of you that live in the Bay Area, you want to know what that play looked like? The 49ers the past 4 weeks until the second half last Sunday.
That one goes nowhere.
And that was the point.
Going to lose 3 yards on that play. So Antioch pushed back to their 14-yard line. This will bring up second down and 13. 2:43 and counting here in the opening quarter. Najee fakes the handoff, throws left side. He's got a man. He kind of skips this one up there. It would have been short of the first down anyway.
It was short to Payne on that one.
Boy, it looked like he just kind of skipped it to him off the turf. No chance for Payne to make that catch. And it'll bring up third down and 13.
They had Perry in there in the backfield. Looks like they're putting Harris back there again.
So third down and 13 from their own 14-yard line. Got to get it to about the 28-yard line for a first down. Harris going to get it, forced back, and they're running the short side of the field again. And somebody got in there, Dan, and was able to push him back and kind of string that one out. And the Falcons guys played that one brilliantly again. No room for Harris to run.
Well, they're playing a team that knows what, this is the highest level of competition that Antioch has played. You can claim Milpitas, who had a big year last year, was a good team. They did not necessarily play that well. It was their first game. San Leandro did not play that well, and Freedom has beat them as well, so common opponents there. But this is the first real challenge. Antioch knows that, too. They know that this is not what they've experienced in the first 6 weeks. So the season, and Freedom has proven that right now.
Freedom coming in having lost 2 in a row. And that Pittsburgh game turned out to be a great game. Here's Nick Perry to punt. Rivers back there to receive. Ronnie going to move over here and then let this one hit just inside the 50 at the 49. And that one will go out of bounds here. It's going to be first down at 10 for the Falcons at their own 45-yard line. So good field position for Freedom with 1:38 to go here in the opening quarter.
Tony, sometimes I can read. I'm getting older. Deer Valley at Pittsburgh tonight and Liberty at Heritage. So that's where we are.
The Brentwood Bowl.
Yeah, every game out there is a special game out there.
Luke and I had a chance to do that Liberty game last week, and that turned out to be a great game at Deer Valley. First down and 10. Sweeney and the boys back out there. Turned away on their first couple of possessions from their own 45. Sweeney back with time, and a hit as he tries to throw. And did he hang on to the ball? He did, and goes right down. Boy, initially Danny had time and then ran out of it rather quickly. Joey Gray, the tackle, number 31, able to get there. But at first he had time on that short set, Dan, and then quickly ran out of time, and Gray ran over him.
Well, his first option wasn't there. He looked to number 2, and by that time Gray was in there on him. I think that's one of the big surprises for Antioch. Not necessarily, we all knew Najee Harris was good, and their offense would be good, but their defense has been particularly good this year, and now they're offside. Now Gray is like, he's so happy that he figured, I got to get in there, and guess what? So he just basically cost them that sack, and now it's going to be 2nd and 10 where it would have been anyway.
Right, well, they give back the 5 yards that they got on the sack. It'll bring up second down and 10.
Yeah, Gray, he actually leads the league in sacks right now with 5.5. His brother, Michael Gray, last year broke a school record for sacks in a season with 20.
Wow, that is a huge year at any level. Sweeney rolling to his right, has protection, throws far side, he's got a man, and that is caught, and that is going to be good for first down yardage. And how about that for a nice play, guys? That is Costin, the sophomore wide receiver, making the catch on that out pattern, and that will show a nice arm right there.
Tony, that's a professional play right there.
It really is.
Sweeney ran out, had time, waited for Costin, knowing that he had inside position on the cornerback, and as soon as he made that cut, had the ball right out. That was a pretty play.
Sweeney going to fake it. Now he's going to give it to Rivers. Rivers looking for room. Nice inside cut for Rivers near the 40-yard line as he gets down to the 35. About 8 yards on that play. It'll bring up second down and 2. And now 25 seconds and counting here in the first quarter, and probably at least, I'd say, one more play before the end of the period.
We have a score update, the Brentwood Bowl. End of the first quarter, surprisingly, to me at least, it's 0-0.
No, okay, well. Now we were kind of thinking the way Liberty looked last week, kind of thinking that they were going to have the upper hand in that game, but we'll see, and they are going to let the rest of the time run off here in the first quarter. Bachman Construction, our entire team is dedicated to achieving the highest possible quality on every project. Tailgaters Sports Bar and Grill, 4605 Golf Course Road in Antioch. Watch a replay of tonight's game later on tonight at Tailgaters. And guys, thanks for that delicious crew meal. Verde Design, professional sports, landscape architecture, civil engineering, sports planning, and design. That's Verde Design. RGM Construction Managers, specializing in coordinating design and construction of public facilities. And guys, thank you for all your support. We couldn't do it without you.
Well, Tony, this game is kind of going according to plan. We knew Freedom was going to give Antioch a better game than they've seen the past 6 weeks, 7 weeks. They are, but the one turnover proved costly for Freedom, and Antioch came up with a big pass play, which is something you don't really expect out of the Antioch offense. But see, Antioch needs this, Tony, because you look at these, Harold Aubend, our friend over at he makes his Bay Area top 25 for us. Look at all these teams that are in the East Bay and in Contra Costa County. De La Salle, Foothill, Monte Vista, Pittsburgh, Antioch. These are the teams Antioch is going to have to compete with and beat if they're going to go far in the playoffs. So they need games like this.
Well, they are being tested here so far, and so far leading 8-0. Here's Sweeney on the fake, has a man open coming out of the backfield, but quickly hit and wrapped up and thrown down here on the sideline. And on the reception that time, number 7, Kevin Lonergan making the catch, but he was quickly corralled. And he does pick up a few yards here, and it'll bring up third down at about 3.
Lonergan, a really excellent baseball player for Freedom. An all-league player.
It's one thing you get at so many of these high school players. They all do more than one sport, or at least most of them seem to do more than one sport. And I understand that we'll get a chance to see Harris play some basketball this year as well.
Hopefully, he took a hiatus during his sophomore season, led the team in rebounds his freshman year on varsity, so the team could really use him.
Third down and 3, right up the middle, and he's going to spill out over for a first down as he gets out near the 31-yard line, and Rivers looked like he was corralled that time and then just kept churning and picked up the first down.
He just kind of smalled his way through that one, Tony. I mean, he just kind of found a hole and got past the bigger Antioch line.
Now, Ronnie Rivers, guys, a great athlete, very elusive, and usually makes that first guy miss. And that is the sort of the hallmark of a good running back. Here's Sweeney back to pass, under pressure, he is going down. Sweeney hit and nailed, and that'll be Kyle Brown, number 50, who spilled in there. And again, it looked like he had time initially, and then the rush got to him.
Kyle Brown, just brought up from JV last year, excellent athlete, not the biggest lineman at about 210, 220 pounds, but he's very athletic and very coachable, according to offensive line coach Maury Zuizui.
By the way, after that play, Tony, you saw a flag come up. It wasn't a penalty, but a warning against the Antioch sideline to get back. So they must have had some players or coaches, extra coaches out on the field. So that sack will stand.
Everybody wants that front row seat. Guys, stay back. I think you only get one warning.
Yeah, Antioch probably really excited right now. They haven't beaten Freedom since 6 years ago, so this would be a very big win for them.
Different team this year. Last couple of years, really. All right, second down and 16. Here's Sweeney rolling left. Fire's got a man out of the backfield, and that is going to be out across the 30, so they get some of those yards back, and it'll bring up third down.
Yeah, I was looking at Max Prep's rankings this week. Antioch ranked 200th in the nation. 2 years ago when they went 1-9, they were ranked 8,300th in the nation. So, a big turnaround these past 2 seasons.
Well, if you look at Max Prep, Antioch is number 22 in the state. I think last year they were 514th or something like that. So,
okay, but
Najee Harris does add a little to the equation.
Put that into context. How many high school programs are there in the country?
8,120. That's what they're trying to say there.
Third down and 8 for the Falcons at about the 27-yard line of Antioch. Here's Sweeney back, throws, tries to go here to the right side, misses his intended target, and that was Ryan Moocher, number 2. That's Dominguez, number 2 out there. Looked like they had him, but here's a situation, guys, where too far for a field goal, too short for a punt, so I think they go for it here.
We've talked about the special teams thing. 10, 20 years ago, Tony, guys had guys that could kick 50-yard field goals. I don't know what happened to that.
But remember,
they must all play soccer
but
now.
remember in the old days when we would do this place kicking?
The old days?
Well, okay, last year.
Okay.
Well, a few years ago, Dan, it just seemed like place kicking was the hardest thing to do on the field, and now
Well,
it's
now we don't punt. We go for it from the 40-yard line. I mean, it's crazy. Antioch called time.
timeout called by Antioch. So you got Furr, guys, the left tackle, the only lineman for Freedom that played last year. Joe Mayer was going to be one of the stalwarts on that front line for the Falcons, but he tore an ACL last year, and he would have been a starter. But the group has played well. Now, they've given up a couple of sacks so far today, but overall this season, guys, that quintet has played good up front for Freedom.
To go along with the kicking, Freedom's kicker, Dominic Mather, I've seen a video of him in practice kicking a 53-yarder. That was with the wind, but he does have the leg. He just doesn't. Coaches just not putting him in right now.
Yeah, there was a time though, guys, when that place kicking looked almost impossible to get everything go. The snap, the hold, the kick, plus protection. There was just too many things going wrong. They could never do it. Now, a lot of teams just don't do it at all. But there are teams that can do it and do it successfully.
Well, we see it more on the other side of the hill, I think. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they have coaches over there that we don't know about or something. But Los Lomas has always had a decent kicker, and Monte Vista, San Ramon. Los Lomas has sent a couple of guys to Cal. Antioch had a kicker, and they had a family of kickers back in the 80s that went through, and then they had a kicker named Eric Johnson who went to Stanford.
4th down and 8. Boy, Antioch, I think they jumped on this. I think they're going to get them for encroachment. They will. So a 4th and 8, guys, is going to turn into a 4th down and 3. So Antioch, another penalty, jumping off sides, and this could be potentially a big one. This makes this a much easier chance here on 4th down.
This changes the play totally, too, because you were looking more at a pass, and now you can look to Rivers or maybe a rollout. Sweeney is not exactly a guy that's going to beat you without help, but he is a very good, manageable, let's manage the game type quarterback. And I think that's what they have to do with him. Leave him in the pocket too long, that's where he runs into trouble.
All right, Sweeney going to hand off. Rivers going to get it, and Ronnie is going to be, it's going to be really close. Well, the line judge is coming right out at about the 20-yard line. I think he's got this.
Yep.
And he does. That will be a 1st down. So, Dan, how about that? A short gain on 4th and short when it should have been 4th down and 8.
Yeah, see, that penalty, I'll tell you, penalties and turnovers will kill you in football, Tony. I know I'm not telling anything to anyone who's watched a football game recently. But
well, I'm sure Luke knows this as well. The first couple of weeks that Dan and I had the Antioch games against Acalanes and Milpitas, respectively, guys, they absolutely crushed those teams and they played great. But one problem they had was a lot of penalties, Dan. And I think you and I were talking about that. If they are challenged and playing a better team and a more competitive game, that could really hurt them, and it did right there.
Antioch had 20 penalties in that Acalanes game. Now, that was the first game, admittedly. Now, Freedom is called timeout, Tony, so we can banter about that a little bit more. But you can't have 20 penalties in a football game and expect to win against a real competitive opponent. It's just not going to happen.
Well, you saw the mistake there as the respective teams talk things over. So Antioch coming in with a perfect record, trying to keep things perfect. The Panthers looking at that BVAL, and pardon me, the Pirates, just one loss so far in the BVAL, and were really challenged by Freedom last week when Rivers made that big catch for the touchdown. They scored that touchdown late in the game. Pittsburgh got the ball back with 1:20 to go, and unfortunately for Freedom, that was enough time for the Pirates to score.
Yeah, a thriller of a game.
Yeah, we got to say congratulations to our old buddy Vic Galley over there at Pittsburgh. He's now the all-time winningest coach, and that's a place where there's been some big-time names at the head coaching position, and he is now the all-time winningest. And I think I read an article, or was reading an article about Vic today, and Vic says he's starting to feel a little older now that he's been there 14 years and won all these games. But the Antioch-Pittsburgh game, I think, has been targeted from the beginning as a game that could decide the BVL championship. And unless Freedom throws an upset out here tonight, Tony, that'll probably be the game.
Sweeney back, looking, fires for the end zone. Got a man. They had the one-on-one coverage out there. Pass incomplete. But, boy, he threw to the right man that time, but the coverage very, very good. Lonergan was out there, but I think that Antioch defense pretty good there in the end zone.
Isaiah Dunn was the cover man for Antioch that time, and Sweeney just threw to a spot and expected his receiver to get there, and he wasn't able to get there in time.
Isaiah Dunn, actually a transfer from Freedom. He leads the Beeville right now with 3 interceptions. Actually, he's tied with Cox from Freedom.
Well, good coverage that time. Boy, and here's Ronnie Rivers making a guy miss and getting out near first down yardage, and he fumbled the football, and it looks like Antioch's got it. They do. So Rivers, his second fumble of the game. Last time, guys, he fumbled at the 49-yard line. Antioch turned that into the touchdown. This time, Freedom's driving, and he fumbles here. A huge mistake for the Falcons.
You know, we talked about Antioch earlier making mental mistakes, but it seems like Freedom is making physical mistakes, fumbling the ball, tripping on third down.
Yeah, that's 3 possessions ended by 2 fumbles, and as you said, the trip and the fumble, and when they had that short yardage situation and ended up having to give the ball back.
We know, Tony, that play was very reminiscent, if you remember the opening Niner game this year when Carlos Hyde made that spin move and then ran to the left for a touchdown. That was the exact same move on that play. Made a spin move, got outside, looked like he had someone came up from behind on that far sideline, stripped him with the ball, and they got it right before it went out of bounds.
Yeah, that's true. We always have to give the defense credit, guys, because a lot of times they're making the hits and they're making the strips to force those turnovers. Going end around here for Antioch, and a nice tackle in the open field. That time, Kyle Harmon coming up and making the stop. That looked like it was going to be a much bigger play for Ryan Payne.
Well, that was the Ryan Payne end around that we saw him run for 2 touchdowns against Acalanes, and it just goes to show you the difference in the level of competition. And Kyle Harmon is a big-time linebacker over there. As a matter of fact, he is one of the guys that Antioch is targeting as a guy they got to block and get off the ball.
All right. Najee looking. Now he's going to run, and he's going to be dragged down. He's going to pick up a couple of yards to avoid the sack. But this is going to bring up third down and very long. And really, Najee, not a whole lot of room to run.
You know, he took a pretty big hit there. He's a really hard runner, really head first. And, you know, Antioch doesn't really like that because you want to keep your quarterback safe. But, you know, he's pretty hard-headed when it comes to that.
So Najee barking out the signals here. 3rd down and 7 from their own 15. Then we can hand off. Harris has got a big hole for Harris. 1st down and more. Cross the 30, cross the 35, all the way out to the 38-yard line. When in doubt, give the ball to Harris, and he picks up the 1st down. And, boy, it looks like, guys, Freedom was lucky he didn't go all the way that time.
Well, that was one of the rare times so far he's been able to get that step past the line of scrimmage, and then his speed came into play. He's been gang tackled so far, Tony.
23 yards and a 1st down. And how about that hole? The offensive line by the Panthers that time gave him a big hole, and he exploded into the secondary out to the 39-yard line for Najee. 1st down and 10. They're going to pitch it going the short side of the field again here, Dan. And that's Perry on the carry as he gets out across the 40, picks up a few. But, boy, Dan, they're running to that short side a couple of different times tonight. You and I really never liked that play very much.
It's just weird because you think there would be more to the – but you know what? It's bodies on bodies, Tony, so there's more bodies to this side, and that's where you run. Try to get to the line a lot quicker. But you can see now Perry's in the game. You know, Perry's got 426-yard rushing and 5 TDs in relief of Harris, who's got almost triple those stats.
Well, following that 3-yard gain, here's Newman Najee wielding his way, winding through the defense. He picks up the 1st down, gets out across the 50-yard line. He picks up 9 on that play, and that will be a Panther 1st down.
Yeah, that's the first time he's really had the opportunity to get his legs moving out in front of him and make that run. He's been having to run out of pressure the 2 other times he's ran the ball.
Handoff, and caught in the backfield, though, is Harris this time, and tackle made by number 44, Gio Faolo. And he's that very fine tight end as well that we talked about earlier, Dan. A guy does so many things. And another negative yard situation here for Harris. We didn't see a whole lot of those in those first 2 weeks.
I don't think we've seen a lot of those in the last 20 weeks, if you go back to last year. But obviously guys like Fowler's going to UNLV on a scholarship. He can play.
Boy, runs into a man here, crosses the 50, breaks a tackle, stays on his feet, gets inside the 45-yard line. They're going to mark him all the way down to the 43-yard line. Very close to first down yardage. He's going to bring up a second down or a third down and 3, maybe 2-yard situations. About 11 yards on that play for Harris. So they stop him the one time, guys. Comes right back. They can't stop him that next time.
Well, they're going for it on fourth down, so you could pass here, Tony. You could actually throw, and that might be something that might fool for Freedom.
Najee is going to give it to Harris. Harris cuts it to the inside. He picks up the first down. Here comes a whole bunch of more bodies in there to tackle him, but he gets inside the 40, and that will pick up the necessary yardage for the first down. He picks up 4, and that will move the sticks for the Panthers.
That was a different kind of play. Offset to that side, power to the right side, and Newman kind of led Harris out to the line of scrimmage, then gave him the ball as opposed to giving it to him behind the, where he was standing, and then Najee kind of picked through and found his hole and gained just enough to get the first down.
Well, they love those power concepts and those counters. Those really the bread and butter of this offense. Najee giving some instructions to Najee. Here comes painted motion back toward the formation, and now flags fly, and they'll talk this one over. And it'll be illegal procedure against Antioch.
Penalties against Antioch,
Yikes.
Turnovers for Freedom. And that's the story so far in an 8-0 game. Harris, 1,248 yards and 13 touchdowns. Tony, what's amazing, though, you go on Max Preps, you look at the stats. There's guys elsewhere in the country that have like 2,800 yards rushing in 7 games. I mean, you think he's great, but, man, there are some other guys out there with stats that will blow your mind.
First down and 15 following the penalty. Here's Payne back toward the formation. They're going to hand it to him on the end around. Being led out there, he's got some blockers, and he picks up just a couple of yards. Is Freedom able to shut that down?
It looks like they went with the same play they were going to do the time before. So, yeah, Freedom really had that one scouted, and it didn't go anywhere.
I think people have seen the films of Ryan Payne running to the end zone against Acalanes twice, and we didn't see all the games, but I'm sure he's been involved in some other plays, and I don't think they're going to let that one go any longer.
So Freedom from the Freedom 41, second down and 15 here for Antioch. There's Newman in that pistol formation. Going to get it, going to fake it with time. Now he's under some pressure, tries to get away, swarmed under, he'll be hit and dropped. A flag flies, and I'm wondering if that is going to be a face mask of some sort. I didn't see any holding. Let's see what it's going to be.
And he's hurt.
And we have an injury here as Newman Najee not getting up at about the 46-yard line.
Well, Tony, that could be a number of things. There could have been a hold. It would have had, or an illegal block. There was only one Panther in the backfield. That would have had to have been on him. It could be a face mask and or maybe some illegal contact to that the quarterback put on the defender, because he could grab the face mask or go to his helmet as well. So we'll have to wait and see what the call is. But we have 2 injured players, 1 Freedom player, and Najee, the quarterback for Antioch.
They're going to have to sort this out. Hope everybody's okay. So we're talking about the guys, the kind of the bread and butter plays by the Antioch offense, that power concept, and when they use that double team, go to the play side at the point of attack, and they use the fullback to block the defensive end, and they also use that counter play where they pull the backside guard to lead as a lead blocker, and that counter play always gets me thinking about the Redskins in the old days with that counter tray, but they actually run it a little bit differently, different in terms of who they use to lead block and who they use to pull. It's really kind of a bread and butter type play for the Antioch Panthers. And has worked so well all year as you take a look at this crowd. So Najee. So Abram Carnthong, the junior, 6 foot, 175 pounds now. Looks like he's the backup quarterback, and now we'll get the call here. And I believe it's the same rule for high school it is for the pros. If you're injured, you have to come out for at least one play. So we'll get a little idea of the extent of the injury here for Najee.
I'm looking for him on the sideline. I don't think he might be being tended to down here in front of the Gatorade containers. But the Freedom injury looks a little bit more serious with Cartwright, the it's Jimmy Cartwright being carried off the field by a number of coaches. So
Jimmy Cartwright, number 55, back on the field here for Freedom.
that was a holding penalty, Tony, and so it's going to be third and a long way for Antioch with their backup quarterback.
Yeah, and that really occurred back in the secondary that time, so 10 yards from the spot of the foul, and this is going to be third down and 24 now with the backup quarterback. When in doubt, give it to Harris and see what he can do with this. Gets away from a couple of guys and then swarmed under as he gets out to the Freedom side of the 50, but that'll bring up fourth and very long.
Get the backup quarterback. They got Abram Carnthong, really good pedigree here at Antioch High School. His brother, Hunter, in 2012, he led the team to the playoffs. He had 1,000 yards passing and just short of 1,000 yards rushing.
So that'll bring up fourth down and 19, so 9 yards on that play for Harris. And they're going to go for it here inside of Freedom territory. No, they're going to punt it. A little trickery right there, and Perry's going to boot this one, and this one is going to hit it inside the 15, take a Freedom bounce out to about the 18-yard line. So a good decision, I think, there by the Panthers to go ahead and punt that one away, and the Falcons will get it here, trailing 8-0 with 4:22 to go in the first half.
You know, Tony, we haven't talked about, we kind of got thrown on the air. You know, we usually have our little open that we like to go through, but we haven't really talked much about the coaches so far. But Antioch, of course, John Lucido with Brett Dudley, Wilson Pica, Chris Henry, Mike Weiscarver, Josh Bula, Juan Corral, the former Pittsburgh Pirates, Scott Adams, Willie Stembridge, Maury Susu, and, of course, Louis Rocha, the principal here, it's homecoming tonight. I went to school here and graduated in 1977. Louis was in the class of 79. So we're both former Panthers.
We've got Dave Jackson on hand, our statistician.
He's in the class of 1922.
Don't make any jokes about taking a horse and buggy to school, Dan.
No, they didn't even have horses in 1922.
Here's Sweeney back to pass, under pressure, and Joe's going to go down. A pair of defenders there. And, boy, Sweeney never had a chance that time. A couple of Panthers right in on him, and down he goes. Another sack for Antioch.
Now, Beltram was there. Joey Gray was there. Joey Gray's having a great game and a great season for Antioch on defense. And Sweeney hasn't had a lot of time to throw tonight. He has not been able to get comfortable back there in the pocket. Antioch's pass rush is, I think, one of the more surprising aspects of their play so far this year.
Now, Kobe Beltram has had a wonderful season, Dan. The all-time leading tackler here now. For the school of Antioch, and he passed his brother Marky Beltram for that honor earlier this year. Second down and long. Here's Sweeney back rolling and fires to the outside. And this one going to be caught, but not a big gain, so that is going to bring up third down and long. Costin makes the catch, but it's going to be a third down and long for the Freedom Falcons.
You saw that time they had to roll Sweeney out, Tony, which is one way to get around a fairly vicious pass rush.
And rolling to his offhand that time, Dan. I've always thought it was very difficult for a quarterback to make an accurate throw doing that. And a lot of times it takes more time because you got to get back into a right-handed throwing position, set your feet, and then get rid of the football.
It's definitely harder to do, but a guy that's been doing it for 3 years probably has a little bit more experience than others.
Third down and 8. Here's Joe. Going to fake the handoff, rolls to his right, throws, and this one is caught. That's going to be a first down out across the 35, out across the 40, 45, and down to midfield. And there is the big tight end, Falolo. Boy, they talked about him going to ULV. He's a good blocker. He's had just one or two drops in a couple of years. And, boy, guys, he just made a big play at a big time here for Freedom. They were going to have to punt from deep in their own end. Instead, they get the first down and now out across into Antioch territory.
I think that Freedom got away with a block downfield while the ball was in the air, though, Tony. But you know what they say.
If you don't get caught, it's not a crime.
That's right. And that's one of those it's hard to call. There's so much going on. It just happened to be something I noticed right in front. That ball didn't even look like it was intended for Paolo. But he's the one who made the catch in the big gain.
Talked about what an asset he is, and he proved his worth right there. Here's Ronnie looking for some room, and he will find none. He's going to lose a yard on that play, maybe two, back inside Freedom territory, and that'll bring up second down and 12.
Antioch's defensive line really dominating. Freedom came into this year with 4 new starters on the offensive line.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Just the one player, that was Furr, was the only guy that played on that front line last year. But Kevin Hartwig earlier this week told me that they've really played very well. Now, so far today, they have given up some sacks. There has been some running room. So really, so far, kind of a mixed results for the offensive line for Freedom. So 2nd down and 12 now. Sweeney in that shotgun. Boy, and right away, Antioch showing blitz over there and a whistle, and it's going to be timeout for Freedom. 2:02 to go here in the half. Falcons trail it by 8. 2015 West Coast Jamboree is now full and taking waiting list schools. The 16th annual West Coast Jamboree, December 28th, 29th, and 30th. It's full at 128 schools. And there's a waiting list right now. Brackets and venues have not yet been decided. They'll be announced soon. But the West Coast Jamboree coming up again, a big holiday tournament put together by our very own Dave Jackson. One more time. And God, schools, Dan, from everywhere in the country, and really some of the best girls basketball that you're going to see.
It's very good stuff. I'm actually involved with the West Coast Jamboree. Clay Callum is one of the directors. Our old buddy used to do games up here in the booth with us. And Harold Abend, who provides us with this top 25. This is, of course, not official because nothing that Harold is involved in could ever be official. But Freedom, on his list, is ranked at 21 with their 3-3 record. Antioch is ranked at 8 with their 6-0 record. But I'm always amazed that 4 of the top 10 teams, Tony, are schools that can draw players from anywhere and not just their local region. And that's all we'll say about that tonight.
Here's Sweeney, 2nd down and long, looking for a screen pass, kind of hit his man. And that play intended for Devontae. No, for Costin, actually, and it looked like he didn't have time to turn around. I think it bounced off his helmet. Looked like they were trying to set up that screen pass, and they had some blockers in there, but there was a lot of traffic right in the middle of the field.
Those are dangerous passes, as the Raiders found out last week with about 6 minutes to go in the game. When you throw the ball near the line of scrimmage where there's a lot of people, sometimes there's too many people, including the defenders, and that was the same thing there. Well, that pass, I think it hit an offensive lineman perhaps as well.
All right, 3rd down and 12 from their own 49-yard line. Here's Sweeney, high snap, hauls it in. Joe back under pressure, hit as he throws, and this one is going to flutter out across midfield, and Joe really got nailed as he threw the ball that time. That'll bring up 4th down. And boy, Sweeney really took a shot here, and it looks like they're going to bring out the punting unit for Freedom.
No, 6 teams in the BVAL, all 3 games right now heading towards halftime. You know how many points total all 6 teams have combined for?
No, 8.
Well, we got 8 up there.
8 here in Unstall.
15.
Is Pittsburgh ahead 7-0?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Really low scoring night so far.
That is low scoring considering last week.
Payne's going to take it at the 15. Payne to the 20. Looked like it might have been a block in the back. Cross the 30. To about the 31. So about 16 yards on the play, but I think they caught that block in the back, Dan. So it looks like they're going to push this one back here for Antioch. Waiting for the official signal, but I was pretty sure I saw a block in the back on that play.
Guys, this is amazing when you think about it. The point just made 15 points so far. Last week in 3 games in this league, there were 209 points scored. So, you know what? Can you ever figure this stuff out? Who thought the Saints were going to beat the Falcons last night? I mean, and football just gets stranger and stranger.
You know, I think Antioch had more than 15 points last game within the first 3 minutes of regulation.
I think they had 35 after 7 or something like that, or 33 after 7.
Yeah, 32 after the first 6 minutes, yeah.
Well, we certainly saw a shootout between Liberty and Deer Valley last week in a game that Liberty took the lead and they were ahead late, and then Deer Valley had a chance to come back in that one, Luke. They were driving before that final interception that ended the game. 1st down to 10 for Antioch. There's a fake. America Najee back in the ballgame, looking for Harris coming out of the backfield after he was blocking. Led him a little bit too much, but there was a defender right there, and that is a very dangerous-looking play for the running back.
You know, a lot of people don't know this, but Harris has really great hands. I've known him since his freshman year, and ever since then, he's had this idea he might become a receiver when he goes to college.
Interesting point there.
He has 2 touchdowns. One was for 77 yards back in week 2.
2nd down and 10. Good to see Newman back in there. Gives off to Harris, breaks away, and can't get away. And a nice open field tackle. And that looks like that was number 3, Ryan Moocher, who came up and made that stop, guys. That was a great-looking play in the open field that time. Now, Dan, in those first couple of weeks, nobody made that tackle against Harris.
After this play, Tony, I'll tell you an interesting story.
3rd down and 3. Harris tries the right side, picks up the first down and more. Spills out across the 30 to the 34. First down, Antioch.
Antioch's got to start moving, though. There's only a minute left. Kevin Hartwig told me, though, during their bye week, they did spend a little bit of practice time on Antioch, looking just ahead, even though they had to play Pitt.
Wow.
Just knowing what Harris brought to the ball, what brought to the table.
First down and 10. Harris going to get it again. Cuts it back. Spin move. Another spin move as he gets out across the 30, under 50 seconds, or just at 50 seconds now to go. And Antioch's going to burn a timeout here. So Antioch burns one. Still showing 2 on the board for the Panthers. And 50 seconds. Now you figure, Dan, even though you might think in a situation like this you have to pass, we've seen enough big plays from the Antioch Panthers that they may not have to do that, but they also can get the ball downfield by throwing it as well.
If I was going to pass right now, I might fake to Harris and throw a screen pass. That, to me, is the kind of play that could really...
17 for 95 so far for Najee as they talk it over here as we've got a timeout. Redwood Painting Company since 1947. Applicators of protective coating systems for industry. 925-432-4500. That's Redwood Painting Company.
And 2 more Antioch Panther graduates, the Del Montes. In 1975, Charles Del Monte, and 1979, his brother, George Del Monte, who owned Redwood Painting.
And they had a nice Antioch connection.
Yes, it's another Antioch connection. I'll try to find some others out in the crowd. And we have a nice crowd out here tonight, fairly full, probably the biggest crowd so far in this new stadium.
2nd down and 3 from their own 31. Payne came in motion, back to the formation, fake to Najee. And they get it over here out in the flat and all the up to the 39-yard line. And a nice-looking play right there from Isaac Freitas, the wide receiver. First time he's made a catch tonight.
You called it, another screenplay.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you called it. It was a screenplay.
I was going to say I'm 2 for 2 because I had the screen pass and Ryan Payne, right, Tony?
Yes,
I'm going to
you did.
quit while I'm ahead. 2-0.
Going to give it to Najee. He takes a stutter step, comes out of the backfield, breaks a tackle across midfield, gets down inside the 45, down to the 43. And they're going to stop the clock momentarily here to move the chains. 28.7 seconds to go. Antioch will have first down and 10. They still have a couple of timeouts.
I know he doesn't like to say it's all him, but that play was all him.
18 yards on that run for Najee, and now whistles blowing this play dead. And Freedom calls timeout. Boy, that really helps the Panthers there. And now the Antioch Panthers in Freedom territory, Dan, but just 25.3 to go. But with a couple of timeouts, if they want to work that middle of the field, if they want to run the football, they certainly have that option.
Here tonight is homecoming, so a lot of people in attendance. First homecoming on this brand new field. Approximately $7.5 million put into this athletic facility, that go along with the new weight room, the track equipment, all that.
Yeah, it looks absolutely beautiful. Of course, Pitt got a big upgrade over there. Antioch was certainly due, and they've taken care of things over here, Dan. This place, certainly never seen it look better.
No, it's fantastic.
We just had footage right here of our male escorts.
First down and 10. Najee going to get it, but he's caught in the backfield, and he'll be dragged down. And boy, Falolo, mid number 44, comes up to make that stop, guys. He gets into the backfield, able to get Harris, and then held on long enough to get some help from his friends.
No, I'm not sure. I think the scoreboard is incorrect. I think Antioch still has another timeout after this. But it's wonder what they're going to do here. 17 seconds. It's long for a first down, so if you want to stop the clock with the first down, it's going to be difficult. So interesting with what kind of play choice they go right here.
You got a couple of plays here, Dan, but I think Luke's point is well taken. You got a long way to go in only 17 seconds, and even though you've got the home run hitter in Harris, the Falcons have at least prevented him from hitting that home run ball so far tonight.
If you're going to go to Harris here, you got to get him outside somehow. He hasn't really been able to run between the tackles too well. They're playing a great game defensively inside. The guy to look for here, perhaps, Beltran. If he's in there, he's at the tight end position. And you know what we always say about the tight end position, Tony?
Always open in
high school
football.
That's
Second
right.
down and 13. So from the 46-yard line, here's Najee. Newman back with some protection, throws deep down the far side, jump ball. This one is going to be caught, and that's going to be caught at about the 10-yard line, taken inside the 5 to about the 2-yard line. Oh, what a play, and that's Freitas again making the play for Antioch.
Freitas, another Freedom transfer, played for their JV team last year, made a lot of improvements over the offseason working at Malu Fitness here in Antioch, and he's become an excellent player on offense and in the defensive backfield.
44 yards on the catch and run, and just like that, they're in business, but only 10 seconds to go. Still showing 2 timeouts here for Antioch. Harris out of the backfield, coming in motion to the near side. Here's Newman looking for him. Here's that fade pattern. Harris jumps, makes the catch. Touchdown, Panthers!
That's a dagger, Tony. That really is. You do not want to give up a score, especially when you had him in a long situation. You're forcing a guy to make a long pass, which he did, and he threw a beautiful pass to Freitas. Only Freitas could have caught that pass. And then they split out Harris, who is now your fade receiver in the end zone as well as your running back, and I'm sure he drives the car to practice every day.
Well, he had a double team, but he just went out, jumped the defenders, and made the catch. And guys, you're talking about him playing basketball. Looked like a pretty good rebounder on that play. 2-point conversion here coming for Antioch. Harris going to get it, goes outside, cuts it back to the inside, and he scores. And with 5.2 seconds to go here in the first half, it's now 16-0 in favor of the home team, Panthers.
That is very, very damaging to Freedom's psyche going into halftime. And the thing, Tony, is that Freedom's only real hope in this game right now is they get the ball. And they're going to have to come out in the second half and do a lot better on offense than they have here in the first half. They're going to have to find a way to get some protection for Sweeney, and they're going to have to find a way to get Rivers a little bit more down the field than just his 3 to 4 yard gains that he's been getting mostly in this first half.
Well, and how about that, Dan? With not a whole lot of time left, pinned inside your own 10-yard line, they go over 90 yards. And really, it's Isaac Freitas with that 44-yard catch and run that really set that up. And that turns into a beautiful drive. And it looked like, Dan, when they were at midfield or so, 17 seconds left, it looked like that wasn't going anywhere until Freitas made that big catch.
And it was just a beautiful throw. It's not something you really expected, but as I mentioned, Najee's really come on here in the last couple of games.
Here's that little squib kick, taking it about the 35 or the 25, across the 30, out near the 35, and that will do it. Clock has expired here in the first half, and at the end of the first half, it's a 16-0 Panther lead. We'll take time out here for just a moment and be back to Panther football right here on Delta TV and National Prep Stars. We shall return to Antioch football. Hit the restroom.
Hello? On behalf of Antioch High School, we would like to thank the following businesses and people who, without their help, this event would not have been possible. Diane Weston Hagen, Sean Taylor, the family of Antioch High School, the custodial staff, the grounds crew, Touch the Class, American Trophies, Antioch Flores, Lone Tree Golf Course, the Antioch High School Student Government Class, and the student body of Antioch High School. introduce our homecoming candidates. Up first, we have Miss Julia Odom, escorted by Brady Trump, and after high school, she plans on attending a junior college, then transferring to a UC to major in psychology. Her favorite teacher is Mr. Taylor, and her spirit animal is a chipmunk. Up next, we have Miss Michelle Valencia, escorted by Ruben Reyes. And after high school, she plans on joining the military and becoming a registered nurse. Her favorite teacher is Miss Moss, and her spirit animal is a panther. Up next, we have Miriam Curd, escorted by Andrew Tobian.
You see that fork around here?
After high school, she plans on
That's
going
my
to
personal
college
fork,
and
though.
majoring in psychological
You could
studies.
use it, because I
Her
don't even
favorite teacher is Mr. Hernandez, and his
I wiped it off. Yeah. Where'd it go? Fuck, I don't know. I guess I lost my, oh, there it is. You
Sierra Lewis,
can use the bowl, too, you know? You can get there. I don't want to move, my legs are killing me.
after high
your
school,
personal
she
bowl?
plans on going to college
Yeah.
to
Can you
develop
bring me a torque back when you're done? Yeah. Thank you.
Her favorite teacher is tied between Mr. Taylor and Mr. Harper, and her spirit animal is a catfish. Up next, we have Miss Monica Anjari, escorted by Mr. Andriano. After high school, she plans on going to a junior college, then transferring to Sonoma State. Her favorite teacher is Miss Quinones, and her spirit animal is a seahorse. Last but not least, we have Miss Logan Donaldson, escorted by Roberto Velez, and Logan plans on going to school for a doctorate in aeronautical engineering and going on to work with Airbus. Her favorite teacher is Miss Weiser, and her spirit animal is an alligator. And now it's time to bum, 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 bum. And the skit winner is the senior skit Hocus Pocus starring Julia Odom and Michelle Valencia. Now, what you've all been waiting for, or at least I have. And now our homecoming queen is Michelle Valencia. And now I'm so excited! And now can our homecoming queen please take a round around the track and then meet her court on the floor.
Tonight's ball game is being televised by Delta TV Network and can be seen live at Tailgater Sports Bar and Grill, located at 4605 Golf Course Road, right here in Antioch.
Guys, under 30 seconds.
Telecast, Verde Design, HKIT Architect.
I'll toss this to you, Dan. Okay.
We have stats for this game so far?
He's got some. I'll toss it to him. He's got a few.
And Redwood Painting Company.
Under 9-yard TD.
Najee is the guy, 5 of 7, 98 and a touchdown.
Also, Antioch High PTSA has fresh baked pea cobbler for $3.
They just added 3 minutes to it.
$1 from each bowl, so will go to breast cancer research. We also have snow cones sponsored by the Snow Shack. Also, Warrior game tickets are still on sale for the November 2nd game against the Grizzlies and the January 25th game against the Spurs. The first 150 participants will be guaranteed a spot at the courtside shoot-around. Please stop by the PTSA booth and sign up for membership or purchase your Warrior game tickets. Also, there's still time for our 50-50 raffle, drawing to be held shortly.
Another non-workout. Yeah. The streak's alive. The streak is still alive.
Are we ready?
Hey guys, they're going.
Is it 42? All right, back as we getting ready to start the third quarter. Here in a 16-0 Antioch lead. And actually looking up at the scoreboard, guys, now they finally put up the 12 minutes. And it looks like we are ready to go for this third quarter action. A 16-0 Panther lead as they get set to kick off here to begin the second half. And this one is going to wind down at the 10-yard line, taking it across the 15, 20, 25, cuts it back, 30, cuts it inside, 35, 40, 45, 50, breakaway, and finally dropped at the 40-yard line. A huge return for the Freedom Falcons as they get things started. And that is going to be a beautiful play by Ronnie to get things started. And here is a look at the halftime stats with Dan Wall.
Harris, 19 attempts, 109 yards and a touchdown. Najee, 5 of 7, 98
Number 24
yards
Cameron Nathan on the tackle for Antioch. Freedom began first and 10 from
Rivers
the
had 7
Antioch
carries
40.
for 37 yards. Sweeney was 4-9 for 58, costing caught 2 passes for 21.
55 yards for Ronnie Rivers on that return. And here's a nice run out across the 35. And here's Rivers getting down to the 40-yard line. Actually, that's going to be Gio. And makes a nice carry for the first down. And let's take a look now at the out-of-town scoreboard.
That was actually Kyle Harmon on the run. Normally a linebacker, this year getting some reps at running back. Out-of-town scoreboard. We have Heritage 7, Liberty 0, halftime right there in the Brentwood Bowl. And I'll get back to that after this.
And Sweeney with the handoff. And right up the middle, nice spin move. And on down to the 25-yard line goes Kyle Harmon, the linebacker. We talked about how good he is at linebacker, making a couple of plays back-to-back here on offense, and they move the chains again.
Yeah, Ronnie Rivers on that big return, getting a little bit of rest right now. Kyle Harmon taking over. Over in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh leads 21-6 with about 9 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Also, De La Salle down 20-0 to Cal Poly, Long Beach Poly, excuse me, down south. You know,
big news there.
Their NorCal streak is still alive at about 250-plus games.
Sweeney with the fake. Under some pressure, throws over the middle, and he's got a man. And that's going to get down to about the 20-yard line. And that'll be Harmon again. No, that's going to be Gio Falolo, the tight end, number 44, making the catch. And we take a look at the BVAL standings. Antioch coming in at 6-0. Pittsburgh at 5-1. Heritage, Deer Valley both at 3-3. It looked like a jump here. Now Penalty Markle stopped this play, and it looked like Antioch jumped offside.
I can't understand what is causing this, because it doesn't look like Sweeney's even started his count yet. Usually that's what draws guys offsides, right? The cadence and the count. And it's like he's walking up there and Antioch's offside. I don't get it. I mean, I know they're eager, but in these first 4 plays, Tony, Freedom came out. I told you they're going to have to come out and do something quick in the third quarter, and they have a big kickoff return. They're rolling Sweeney out with play action, and they're using Harmon instead of Rivers in the backfield.
So Rivers got him started, and Ronnie's going to get the call here. Not going to get very far as he's wrapped up rather quickly. There's Nick Perry, a part of that very talented linebacker trio here for Antioch, coming up to make the stop. So Deer Valley 3-3. Everybody 3-3 coming in. Freedom 0-1 in league. Liberty got that win last week against Deer Valley. And, of course, Pittsburgh and Antioch both 1-0 so far in the BVAL.
Thank you.
Second down and 10. Looking for the end zone, and there is a little bit too long, and that's going to be out of the back of the end zone and incomplete.
Good coverage and a nice throw. I guess the difference there is Costin just isn't as big as Najee to go up and get a pass like that without having to stop. He had to go and go all the way out extended to get that, and it forced him out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, looked like Sweeney's pass a little bit too far.
It says that De La Salle leads 14-0.
So
I guess we'll have to wait and see what the reality of that is. One site says De La Salle is getting hammered, and the other
stories about De La
we're getting
Salle.
that could be a
This
wayward
one
De La
seems
Salle
to be
follower.
more confirmable. De La Salle actually leads 14-0 with 8:50 remaining in the second quarter.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Illegal procedure, and that will go against Freedom.
Do we have a reporter over there we can call on the sideline? Mitch Stevens, are you over there, Mitch?
I think that's who he was referring to, is giving us this latest information. That is Mitch Stevens saying De La Salle is leading against Long Beach Poly.
Here's a couple other stats. First downs in the first half, 10 for Antioch, 5 for Freedom, 222 total yards for Antioch to 75. I guess that's kind of shocking. And penalties, 6 for 40, and they've already had another one here. Freedom didn't have a penalty called against it in the first half.
Third down and 15. Here's Sweeney back to pass, throwing to the end zone. He's got a man. Caught. Was he in? No. Just out of bounds again. That one caught by Ronnie Rivers, but unable to stay in bounds. And again, Dan led a little bit too far in the back of the end zone.
Well, Sweeney had the entire Antioch Panther line coming at him on a blitz that time, and he had to fire that one up as soon as he had. He made a nice pass. I mean, Rivers was there. He just caught it out of bounds. So they're going to kick a field goal. This is going to be about a 37-yarder, Tony.
Well, from 37 yards away, trying to knock this one through. Trying to get on the board. Snap, hold, kick is good! And with 9:10 remaining here in the third quarter, Dominic Mather has put the Freedom Falcons on the board. It's 16-3 in favor of the Panthers, and really the big play in that drive, guys, was the 55-yard kickoff return by Ronnie Rivers to set that up.
That got them started, but Antioch's got to feel good about themselves that they only gave up a field goal, and that once again they stopped Freedom on a long third down play. Although they were very close that time, Tony. Freedom's got to feel a little bit better about themselves. They come out and stop Antioch, then maybe they can get totally back into this game.
So the Falcons have cut the Panther lead down to 13 here. 9:14 to go here in the third quarter, and Antioch about to get the ball back. HKIT Architects, architecture that enriches the community and environment. Boffman Construction, our entire team is dedicated to achieving the highest possible quality on every project. And we, of course, thank all of our sponsors for helping us bring to you Panther football.
You know, Tony, Antioch has outscored its opponents 294-60 coming into this game. So at this point now, it's 310-63. It's 49 points a game for Antioch versus 10 for their opponents.
This one taken on the 20, reversing his field, trying to find some room, and going to hit and stop down at the 15. That was Victor Ramos trying to make something out of nothing. Turn, and actually he's going to lose some yards on that return. So Antioch going to start fairly deep in their own territory here on this next drive, and trying to put some more distance between themselves and a pesky Freedom Falcon team.
That's a good word, pesky, because they have been pesky. But their mistakes has been what's killed them. Antioch has it's been some of the penalties that they've acquired so far in this game that's been their downfall, and when they've had some momentum shifts here. And now I think the momentum's with Freedom. Antioch needs to change that here with a big drive.
Well, Freedom with those first 3 possessions, guys, remember the 2 fumbles by Ronnie, and then of course he had the
tripping in the
short
backfield
yardage situation when the quarterback Sweeney tripped over his own man, and they turned 3rd down into a long 4th down and had to give up the ball. As they were at midfield at that point, and one of those fumbles, guys, they were driving for what looked like was going to be a touchdown. So they were able to move the ball on a couple of occasions and kind of kick themselves in the foot. All right, here's Antioch. Nice cutback, Harris, but he is going to be dragged down. Looks like somebody got him by the foot. Stays on his feet, somehow still on his feet, out across the 35 to the 36-yard line. I can't believe he stayed on his feet. Finally, number 20, Derek Huey, the senior linebacker, coming up to make the stop, but he just kept going that time.
Looked like Groundhog Day about 3 times there, Tony. Got hit, spun, got hit, spun, got hit, spun. Finally got knocked down. That's Najee Harris at his best right there.
Great looking run by Najee.
Well, I saw something fly. It was Najee's shoe. It's all the way back at the 3-yard line. How did that happen?
Well, he had a couple of guys grabbing at his ankles, and then obviously got down to the foot and just pulled off his cleat.
How did it get all the way back there? Did someone throw it?
Maybe someone picked it up and threw it out of the way.
Looks like he's going to be
that's
out
a way
on
to
this
get him
play.
out of the game anyway.
Good strategy.
1st down and 10 from the 36. Coming again here to the near side, and not a whole lot going on right there. That is Payne on the carry, maybe 1.5 yards. Actually, he might have lost a little yardage.
Wildcat that time.
And now a penalty flag flies as this well after the play was over.
Yeah, in the play they had a backup quarterback, Abram Carnthong, back in the game.
Yeah, Dan, you mentioned it. They had the direct snap using that Wildcat formation that last time, so a whole bunch of things going on here as the officials talk it over. 8:34 to go. Dead ball fell. Unsportsmanlike conduct against Freedom. Boy, guys, you talk about a killer there. You make the play here on defense, setting up 2nd and 10, and then you just give it right back here when the unsportsmanlike penalty, and that'll be an automatic 1st down. 15 yards anyway, but boy, that... Now the line of scrimmage, the 49-yard line of Freedom.
You got to wonder what goes through people's heads, Tony. I mean, yelling at someone, trying to be tough, it really doesn't. Because you know what? No one up here heard it. What are you gaining?
With that, right. All right, 1st and 10 for the Freedom 49. Panthers spending a long time here at the line of scrimmage where the officials try to get set. Now we're ready to resume football. Very strange looking bunched up formation here. And here's that Wildcat again. Najee going to get the direct handoff, spins away from one guy and then runs into a couple of more guys. Another guy joins the party and a whole bunch of defenders there. Among others, Brandon Costin, number 42, the senior defensive end in there on that stop. And Dan, they've done that a few times, Luke. They've been able to do that a few times here, and with those gang tackles, and they did it right there on the direct snap.
You know, you look at a lot of these tackles on Harris, and he's still not going down. They're wrapping him up, holding him, preventing him to, go forward, but he's still standing up. That goes to his, great core strength and, leg strength.
Boy, a nice play. Harris is going to lose yards. Gio Falolo was in there on that play, along with Andrew Perez, number 72, getting into the backfield. And Falolo just fouled up that play altogether.
Well, he did foul it up, and Antioch has decided that now they're going to run this offense, which so far hasn't worked at all. Very interesting what they're doing.
And now, after a couple of those plays went awry, Dan, here comes Numa Najee back in the game, and more of a traditional-looking Antioch spread set here for this next play. Perry, left side. A little bit of room over the left side as he crosses midfield. About 5 yards on that play, but that's going to bring up 4th down here. They need to get inside the 40 of Freedom to about the 39. So 4th down and 8. Go here in the 3rd.
A couple of those plays, Tony, almost look like playground plays, where you kind of, all right, everyone go right. It just didn't look like the advanced offense we've seen from Antioch in the past couple of games.
There's that direct snap to Perry, who boots this one away. They've used that a couple times successfully, and they use it successfully here again. And boy, that's a couple of times here, Luke, when they've gone to that kind of like little bit of trickery there on the punt, and Perry's able to pin Freedom deep in their own territory.
Yeah, last time he pinned them in the 18-yard line. This time it looks like even closer to the 5-yard line. Catching Freedom off guard. It looks like they're going to run an offensive play, but, go ahead and boot it up there.
Boy, I'll tell you, that looked really good, and Perry's doing a great job punting the football, Dan. That was almost reminiscent of sort of a type of punt that you haven't heard since the Howard Cosell days. Remember the coffin corner? Boy, I'd never hear that anymore.
The coffin corner.
Remember
wow,
that
Tony, you're showing your age right now.
So nice punt that time. They're going to spot the ball at the Freedom 6-yard line, 1st down and 10. First down and 10. Antioch showing blitz, and did they jump off sides? I think they did.
Remember the first game when we said they were going to have a Saturday morning practice? They might have Saturday morning line up on defense. I wouldn't make the offense show up. They haven't been off sides very much, but the defense is going to have to learn to line up on side. It's going to cost them in a game.
Boy, it looked like they jumped that time, Dan. I'm not sure if it was a hard count or what, but here is a nice play coming out of the backfield for Ronnie, able to squirt up there, and he's going to pick up a 1st down and get to the 19-yard line. So that'll make it 1st down and 10. So they started at the 6. They pick up 5 yards, and then 8 more on Ronnie's run. So getting out of the shadow of their own backfield right now with the Freedom Falcons.
Antioch certainly helped Freedom along. Freedom hasn't done that much really on offense. Their big play was a kickoff return, and they're probably still under 100 yards of total offense.
All right, Sweeney from the shotgun. No, actually, it's going to be a direct snap to Rivers, as they look like they're taking a page out of the Antioch playbook, and Ronnie able to spill there for a couple of yards. And on that tackle, number 50, Kyle Brown for Antioch.
Rivers does have some passing ability. Last year, Sweeney went down, out for the second half. He replaced him the entire game. He only had 2 pass attempts, but they were both for touchdowns.
Not bad. It's pretty good percentage. Kind of makes you think they try to give it to him a couple of more times. And Sweeney is not in the game here again. So here's Rivers. Riley's right, and he is going to throw it, and he's got a man, and it's going to be just wide to the right. Boy, it looked like he had Costin wide open that time, and he just did miss the sophomore. Looked like he threw it too far to the sideline that time when he should have let him more upfield. Looked like he had a chance to get him upfield that time, Dan, and that was just an exit stage right pass.
Well, that's a tough pass to make when you're running outside. You haven't thrown a ball probably in the past 2 hours, but he was there, and that could have been a big play to get them even farther out towards midfield.
So now from their own 22-yard line, 3rd down and 7, 5:45 to go here in the 3rd quarter. And this is a pretty big play in this ball game right now. If the Panthers can hold, they can get Freedom to punt here. You figure, Dan, they would get very good field position. And the Falcons trying to keep this one alive here. And now it looks like Joe Sweeney, the starting quarterback, is back in the game here on this 3rd down. Here comes the blitz, picked up. And now one man gets through, and he gets to the quarterback, and down goes Sweeney. Kobe Beltram, number 10, shooting through there on the blitz, and Kobe gets the sack. And boy, you wonder why he's having such a great year. And all these three linebackers really been awesome this year for Antioch.
I think that's one of the big stories. I think everyone knew Najee Harris was going to be a stud, and Ryan Payne could make some catches offensively. I think the big story is Antioch's defense. They've only given up 63 points in 7 games.
All right, Beltran nearly blocked that one, and a tough-looking catch made right there by Payne near the 40-yard line. That was a dangerous play right there, Dan. That easily could have been a fumble.
And this is where Antioch needs to just simply put the game away. They go down, score a touchdown, and make this one pretty much. With only 5 minutes left in the third quarter, Tony, or not a lot of time left in this ball game.
All right, so first down and 10 for the Antioch Panthers, leading at 16-3 here in the third quarter. And they'll operate from the 41-yard line of Freedom. So they get the good punt guys, and they get the stop defensively with the Beltram sack. And now good field position to start this next drive, leading by 13. Harris, the lone setback. They're going to fake it to Najee, throw. Here comes Payne coming back for that ball on that little hitch pass. Payne breaks a tackle, pinballs off a couple of defenders, gets inside the 30 and down to about the 26-yard line. Close to 15 yards and an Antioch first down.
Nice pass that time. The thing I like about Najee there is that's a tough pass, Tony. He had to throw that pass, only gained maybe 10 yards, but he threw it 30 yards back across his body, right on the money to Payne.
Payne coming back toward the formation to make that catch and a nice run, and a good-looking play there. Najee up the middle, plenty of room, 20, 15, inside the 10, dragged down to the 8-yard line. First down and goal, Antioch. Oh, and Najee looking like his left calf. So we've got an injury, and it looks like he's holding his calf in, and that actually is good, and it is not his knee.
Yeah, it could be where he got hit or a cramp, but that's the one thing that Antioch didn't want to see ever this year.
A lot of Antioch fans cringing right now. A lot of Antioch fans cringing.
Really?
Yeah, it's really silent.
Situation, guys. So he gets right back up, and he's jogging off the field. Looked like he was limping a little bit. Now he doesn't appear to be.
He's got to go off for that play, like you said.
Play,
yeah.
Right. So he'll come out of the game now, hobbling just a little bit. But, boy, you talk about the cringing Antioch fans. They breathe a sigh of relief, Luke, with him running off the field that way. First down and goal upcoming for the Panthers.
Yeah, when he got up, they were cheering like someone scored a touchdown.
First down and goal from the 9-yard line. Here's Perry trying to break through. Does. Nick Perry grinding his way down inside the 5, down to about the 2. He picks up 7 yards, and that'll bring up second down and goal. So Fene Hafoka, guys, one of those great linebackers, plays fullback and tight end. He was a leading receiver, but really it's Freitas who's made the big play with the passing game, and we've seen a little more passing here from Antioch today. And, of course, with that Wildcat formation, seeing a couple things, Dan, that we didn't see in those first 2 weeks against Acalanes.
Well, they really spread the ball around to their receivers. There's no doubt about that. They have numerous guys that have caught the ball. It's really Harris and Perry that run it, though.
Perry going to get it again, trying to pick his way in there. And up there just not making the tackle, but really breaking up that play was Kyle Harmon, who broke through and really kind of got the momentum stopped that time, and then got some help from his friends. It'll bring up third down and goal from about the 2-yard line.
They're keeping Harris right here on the sideline. I'm looking for him where he's at. It's hard to look for him with these matte black jerseys in this black sideline, really camouflage.
Well, he's just figuring that out, that you don't put black numbers on black jerseys. We've known that for 15 years, Tony.
Well, we got a good look at it here.
Harris is actually on the field.
Yeah, they put him back in.
Yeah, he's in the middle of the huddle.
Kept him out for 2 plays.
But Fene Hafoka, guys, he was the leading receiver for Antioch, averaging 42 yards a catch. Had a 50-yard touchdown against Heritage and a big 60-yard play against Rancho Cotati. We haven't seen that, but we did see that one big play to Freitas early that set up that touchdown.
Look on this play. I'm going to predict right here. Let's go 3 for 3 as a team. A direct snap to Harris.
That's a pretty good bet.
Well, Newman Najib is in the ball game here in that shotgun situation, in that shotgun formation, I should say. Third down and goal, and a little mix-up finally does give the ball to Harris, and Najee not able to get it. It's going to bring up fourth down. And, boy, that looked like a mix-up all around. Najee turned the wrong way, and Harris was on his right. He turned to his left.
Yeah, that one didn't look real pretty for a team that should be a little bit better at running those plays at this point in the season. But now they put Carthon back in at quarterback. Antioch looks a little confused right now.
A host of substitutions here as the clock runs to 3:04 and counting. Fourth down and goal from the 2. Bunch formation here for Antioch.
Harris looking to get the snap.
He does. Gets the direct snap, pours right in, and a nice push by the offensive line to get him in the end zone.
You got to wonder why sometimes. Are you going to tell me that professional lines can't do that too every once in a while? Just run everyone over. And that was basically, I wonder what they call that play, but I have a feeling it's like push them to Brentwood or whatever, Oakley on that play. We were just laughing because basically the line just blew them all the way up. And Tony, you could have scored that touchdown, and I know that.
I would have got hurt coming out of the pile, though.
Well, it would have been your only one. But.
Yeah, I was right. I was just a play late.
Yeah, you were good. We'll give you 2.5.
All right, same formation.
Oh,
now Nick Perry's going to go on the other way, and he's going to get into the end zone for the 2-point conversion, guys. They're 3 for 3 with the 2-point conversions following the touchdowns, and with 2:51 to go in the third, 24-3 Antioch as they put a little more distance between them and those Falcons.
And that's the first point scored by a Panther other than Najee Harris tonight. He had the first 22. Perry has 2. It's 24-3. And as I said, once they got that ball back with good field position, put the game away, really, I think it's going to be tough for Freedom to score 3 touchdowns in this amount of time.
Very much so.
Unless Antioch totally falls asleep there in the fourth quarter.
So here on homecoming night, it is the home team Panthers taking control. Anthony Schultz, Dan Wall, Luke Johnson here on National Prep Stars and Delta TV. Coming to you from Antioch High School and Panther football. Had a chance to see those first 2 Panther games when they completely dominated. A lot of penalties. Starting to dominate here. But again, guys, we go back to some of those mistakes that Freedom made earlier in the ballgame, and this could be a much tighter affair. This one going to be taken at the 5. Cross the 10, cross the 15, cross the 20, and to about the 24-yard line. And that is Costin on the return, and that's where the Freedom Falcons, with 2:44 to go here in the third, will set up shop 1st and 10.
Harris has 147 yards rushing on, I believe Dave said 23 carries, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 1 receiving. And you'd have to say if that were the stats, Freedom, you'd be pretty happy. 147 yards?
Unfortunately, there's more than a quarter to go, and they have not been able to keep him out of the end zone. And here comes the Freedom offense, guys. And this, in those situations, Dan, we talk about, one of those possessions where you really have to score. This might be one of them that's going to, hopefully for the Falcons, will be able to bridge the third and fourth quarter. All right, Sweeney throws out to the side. That ball is tipped as Sweeney was trying to get rid of it. Tough to see who got that.
It was Beltram.
Looks like Beltram. Okay. Coming in, and Kobe able to get his hand on the ball. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
We got a scoring update over in the Brentwood Bowl. It's the fourth quarter now, and it's still 7-0. Very surprisingly. I thought it was going to be, 40 points to 40 points.
Boy, after Liberty's game last week with Deer Valley, you thought they would have put up a lot more points. And here, a nice play in the backfield. Is Ronnie able to get away, and Rivers able to spill out over here across the 30 near the 35-yard line, very close to first down yardage, and it'll bring up 3rd down at about a half a yard.
Yeah, not good news for Liberty. Their star player, Sherrod Thompson, hasn't returned to the second half. The reporters are saying it looks like cramps, but knowing him, he's still recovering from a hamstring injury, so it might be something to do with that.
Got a chance to see Sherrod, the Pittsburgh transfer last week, making some really good plays defensively and making some really good plays offensively as well. He's a guy that can really bring a lot to your team. That is a huge blow for the Liberty Lions if he's not able to return.
Anything goes in rivalry games. 3rd
down and a yard. Big play upcoming here for the Falcon offense. Handoff, Rivers, and he's going to be hit and stop, but he's going to pick up the first down. Picks
Tony,
up a couple of yards. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm just going to say Rivers, he's had a nice game, but he hasn't really broken anything for them other than that one kickoff return. He's being held to about 70 yards so far in the game tonight. So Antioch's defense really showed up tonight, big, especially on Rivers and on the pass rush. The pass rush has been ferocious.
It really has. They picked up 3 yards on that last play. There's Sweeney looking over to Coach Hartwig, getting some instructions. Kevin Hartwig in his 14th year. Had a lot of success in his tenure at Freedom. Man in motion. Here comes the blitz. And now penalty marker is going to stop this one.
Yeah, Hartwig, he's been around as long as Galley from Pittsburgh. I was talking to him yesterday how he feels about Galley breaking that new record at Pittsburgh, 72-year-old record, by the way. And he says he's known Galley for so long. They used to teach at Central Middle School in Pittsburgh. So they've known each other before becoming, opposing coaches.
Central Middle School no longer a junior high in Pittsburgh. You got the new schools, MLK and now Rancho Medanos.
I played against Central High when I was in junior high, Tony. That's how old I am.
All right, here's Sweeney. Fakes the handoff. Rolls to his right. Joe looking, and he fires. And he's got a man that's going to be caught, but a short gain just to about the 40-yard line. So just a couple of yards there, it'll bring up second down.
By the way, I wanted to congratulate Ferris Anthony, our good friend who was the coach at Antioch. He's on the clock tonight here, and Tim Manley, of course, was a security officer here for many years. The football team from 78 just got inducted into the Antioch Sports Hall of Fame, and Ferris was a member of that team.
Here's Joe throwing. He's got a hitch pass on the sideline and across the 40 and very close to first down yardage. They might just have it. So that is going to be a catch and run by Isaiah Williams. First time we've called his name tonight. And that looks like a big play. He is right on first down yardage, and they're going to move the chains now.
Yeah, that 77 team you just mentioned that got inducted, a lot of big local names. Louis Rocha was on that team. Another administrator, Burger House, was on that team.
Scott Burger House, my old foil in Little League. We pitched many games for the Camaros against the Fireballs.
Oh, you had to get him started, didn't you, Lou?
I just think it's great for Ferris Anthony to get in this because he doesn't really qualify for the Hall of Fame as being a sports entertainer, a pro wrestler, but he was very deserving. But this is a really good way for him to get into the Hall of Fame.
End of the third quarter with the home team Panthers leading at 24-3, but the Falcons starting to mount a bit of a drive.
Well, Harris has all 3 touchdowns for Antioch, but not the kind you're used to seeing. Remember that night we did another game somewhere, but we were having our post-game dinner and libation, and we were reading the Twitter, and it was like 77-yard run, 46-yard run, 56-yard run. Well, tonight it's 5-4 and a 1-yard run touchdown. So they have not dominated the game the way that they have in the past, but Harris still has his 150 yards rushing. Antioch still in front, but I think that impressive number there is the 3. I mean, you think about last week, they scored 29 points against Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's defense is supposed to be their hallmark with Ramirez and the defensive back that they have over there, Jordan. So we'll see what happens as we move on. But Antioch is starting to kind of balance out, Tony, where their offense good enough to score 30 points a game, but their defense is holding teams to under 10 points per average.
All right, 1st and 10 for Freedom from their own 47-yard line. Sweeney back, wants to set up a screen. The ball is going to be dropped out of the 40-yard line. They had some of those blockers in front. That looked like one of those traditional screens with the lineman setting it up for the running back, Dan, but unable to make the catch, and it'll bring up second down.
In fact, he threw it a little early that time. I haven't mentioned Kevin Hartwig's staff, Sam Arnold, Ron Rivers, who we talked about, Ryan Seto, Dave Fogelstrom, who's coached at Antioch and Deer Valley, is now at Freedom, Jorge Flores, David Turnus, whose brothers went to Pittsburgh High, Dave Sweeney, of course, Joe's father, Steve Amaro, in the BVAL, and last year they had a fairly decent season, did make the playoffs and win one game, and that's probably where they're going to end up again this year.
And out across near the 50-yard line for Rivers as he picks up a few yards. Yeah, we talked about Hartwig, Dan. League champs back in 2011 and 2012. Made the playoffs 10 times. Really, their foil the last couple of years has been Pittsburgh. They were 7-5 last year, lost to Pitt in the quarterfinal, and the year before they got dumped by Pitt in the quarterfinal. So just unable to get by the Pirates.
They've played Pittsburgh 5 times in the past two and a half years. So, Yeah, Pittsburgh has been the thorn in their side, and you never know, they might have to play him again.
3rd down and 7 now. Sweeney back, throws over the middle, and he's got a man. He's going to be caught into first down yardage. That's about a 10-yard gain, and that will move the chains for the Freedom Falcons. And a nice catch there by Paolo. Gio able to make that catch in some traffic that time, and the Falcons keep the drive alive.
Sweeney really fired that ball. I mean, that was that looked almost like a professional connection over the middle.
All right, 1st down and 10. Inside Panther territory. Sweeney going for the home run ball. He's got a man in and out of the hands. No good. Dondre Gray, number 80, the senior, was there, and he had the ball right in his hands. That should have been a touchdown.
Might have been at the last second. Isaiah Dunn got a hand in there and kind of deflated. You know, that's what happens a lot of times. You think it's in his hands. You see that highlight, and you see the ball just get tipped a touch, and that's all it takes. Because you're looking back over your shoulder, you don't have the greatest view of the ball. And if it's not right where you think it's going sometimes, that's what will happen, and that's what happened on that play.
Well, Dondre looked like he got open. They're unable to make the connection that time. Here's Sweeney down 2nd down. With time, throws out in the flat on the far side. And that one will be incomplete. Costin was the intended receiver. And number 11, DeJuan Boyd, was there defensively for Pittsburgh. For Antioch, 10:44 to go here in the 3rd quarter, and a 21-point lead for the Panthers. And they've taken firm control, but a couple of plays ago, Dan, it looked like the Falcons were going to have themselves a big play and a touchdown. So still a whole lot of time here for Freedom to get back in this one, but one of those drives, Dan, where you figure it's either, do or die here on this possession. Fake. Rivers going to get it. Ronnie up over the middle. He picks up some yards and close to first down yardage for Ronnie Rivers on a little what looked like a draw play. And I haven't seen many of those at all this season.
Yeah, they really caught Antioch on their heels right there. 3rd and long, expecting a pass play. So they were able to give it to him up the middle, getting quick 9 yards.
So he's going to leave him a bit short. Here's a 4th down play from about the Antioch 32-yard line. Going to call it 4th down and 1. We get the ball to the Antioch 31-yard line. A huge play upcoming in this game. Are the Falcons going to stay in this one, or is Antioch going to?
Looks like they got a couple fullbacks in here on this play.
So let's take a look. 4th down and 1. Huge play here. Rivers going to get it. Right side, turns the corner. He's got big yardage. 20, 10, 5, touchdown. 32 yards away for Ronnie Rivers. He is in the end zone, and indeed, gentlemen, the Falcons are back in this football game.
That's the first time that Rivers has really hurt Antioch in this game. He's had a couple of nice 9, 10-yard runs. That time he got outside, got the blocking. All he had to do was beat one guy, and he did. He showed the speed, showed the maneuverability that he has. He gets in the end zone, and Freedom back in it at 24-9.
So how about that, guys? On a 4th and 1, Rivers able to go 32 yards for the touchdown. Snap, hold, the kick is up. The kick is good. And with 9:49 to go, that makes it a 24-10 score. Antioch with the lead, but the Falcons back in this ball game, and this could be a very exciting finish to this football game.
Well, now you got to start thinking, do we kick deep? Do we try an onside kick? Antioch seems to get out to the 40, 50-yard line on a couple of plays. Do we waste that time? Might as well just give them the ball there. And you never know, because I've seen in high school, I don't know that you practice those plays as much as you do in college, in professional. But I've seen high school teams. We saw this in a game we did not too long ago, where onside kicks just looked like jailbreaks. It's like they didn't know what they were doing. So I think I'd throw one. I think
that would be an interesting call right here, Dan. But at some point your defense is going to have to stop them anyway. So that you might say on the one hand, well, go ahead and onside kick, because what does it matter? Like you said, they're getting good field position anyway. But on the other hand, you'd like to make them at least go a little bit farther. But if Antioch right now puts together a couple of long drives, this game is over. And now look how they're lining up here as if they might be going for an onside kick. Mather lining this one up. He's got the angle going like he wants to onside kick here. Let's see if they change out of it at the last moment. You see how Antioch is positioning.
Look, they got Antioch one right here on the left, but they still have look 4 guys over here on the left for Freedom, so I don't think that's a good strategy for Antioch.
He is onside kick here. This one's going to bounce up in the air. The ball is still loose and is going to go out of bounds, and that's why you see the flags fly.
That was
I don't think he even
dangerous,
made it
though.
10 yards either.
I don't know if it was touched before the 10. It went out of bounds right around the 50. I don't know if it was touched, but I tell you, that was, you could worry a little bit about that kick right there. That was still alive, and Antioch's going to get the ball at the 49-yard line.
So just like you said, Dan, the Falcons roll the dice. This one comes up snake eyes for them, so really good field position to start this next drive for the Antioch Panthers. 9:44 to go. They lead it 24-10, and they've got the ball right near midfield at their own 49-yard line. Going to fake it. Najee with a little jump pass, and he's got a man out across midfield and down to about the 41-yard line of the Freedom Falcons. And that is going to be number 42, Finea Foka. We talked about him being the leading receiver for this team coming into today's game. So he makes a big catch and run right there.
Najee, that was a beautiful play, though.
That was a nice
Sold
play.
that all the way to the very end.
That was an 11-yard catch and run for Finea Foka. Handoff, Najee Harris, and boy, just dragging tacklers, and he's got a guy clamped around his waist. That was number 57, Santiago Ramirez, and he just kind of dragged Ramirez for a couple of more yards, and then had a couple more bodies on top of it as well.
No, he's just so strong. You saw there was a guy wrapped up around him. There was another man trying to strip the ball out, but not even close.
After watching the NFL the last couple of weeks, Harris kind of reminds me a little bit of the Rams' Todd Gurley.
That's his favorite player.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I go back to the Eric Dickerson and Chuck Muncie, the way he size and runs. Anyway, Antioch, another stupid penalty. Away from the ball, unsportsmanlike conduct, knocks them back 15 yards. This is going to be Antioch's undoing farther down the line, is this just silly penalties that they take.
We haven't seen them for a couple of weeks, Dan, but obviously they haven't gotten that part of their game figured out. So here's Newman Najib. And we're trying to get this thing sorted out. The officials still not set for this one yet. They're going to mark this ball now back to the 48-yard line. They're showing first down and 21. They've got to get all the way to the Freedom 30-yard line here for a first down. So a big break for Freedom. Can the Falcons take advantage? Harris going to get it, and he's going to pick up maybe a yard, maybe 2, and that'll bring up second down and long. The clock not on the side of the Freedom Falcons, running here at 8:53 and counting.
And you got to wonder at some point why they haven't ran perhaps a draw, perhaps some more counter-type plays to Harris, because Harris, for the most part, when he's went up in between the tackles, there hasn't been a lot there for him tonight.
Second down and 22. Knows the football just short of midfield. Najib, that offset eye in that pistol formation, and he loses the football. Newman's going to chase it, and he's going to be swarmed under, and he's going to be hit and dropped all the way back at the 40-yard line. Tonight's game will be rebroadcast on Delta TV, cable channel 24, tomorrow at 10 a.m. and Wednesday, October the 21st at 6 p.m. Online, you can see the game on demand at nationalprepstars.com. So a big mistake by the Antioch Panthers, Dan, and they are just going backwards right now. Fourth down and 30. Freight is coming into the ball game now. They're going to have to punt this one away. And the Falcons going to have a chance to get the ball back, and they bum rush this one. Can't get the block. And this is going to be a fair catch call at about the 29-yard line. And very lucky for Rivers that he made that fair catch call to really save himself from a big hit that time.
He came up a little late. I still would love to see other league, of all the rules that the Canadian Football League has, Tony, one I love is you have to give the punt receiver a 5-yard cushion, but you have to return the punt. There are no
So you go down there and you actually have to wait for him to make the catch.
So that way you don't have any of those stupid, I'm standing in front of you waiting for you. maybe you make it a 3-yard cushion, but at least that's an exciting play. And a lot of times you don't see much out of the play.
So, guys, still this game in contention here with the Falcons down by 14. They have their entire allotment of timeouts here, 7:36 to go, and they operate from about their own 25-yard line, 1st and 10. Sweeney back. Here comes the rush. He's able to get the ball off. Throws, he's got a man. Midfield is going all the way. 20, 10, touchdown Falcons. Isaiah Williams, 75 yards away. And the Falcons are on the board for the second time here in the quarter.
Well, Tony, I said I didn't think Freedom could score 3 touchdowns in this time. But guess what? You can if you have 75-yard touchdowns on the first play from scrimmage. Now Antioch's in a bit of a quandary here. I mean, they have not moved the ball very well in the second half. It hadn't been for that one drive where they got the short field, they wouldn't even be in the end zone. So this is going to be very interesting.
You know, Antioch this season has not yet played in the fourth quarter, their starters. Freedom, very close all season long. They had that one trick play to Dominic Dominguez for a touchdown with 8 seconds remaining. And last game against Pittsburgh, you know, it just dwindled down to the last few seconds.
Here's Mather with the point after, and he is true. 24-17, guys, and still 7 minutes to go.
That was a good point because if you look at who Freedom has played, Tracy, Foothill, who they lost to, who's always a power in D1. Amador, another really good team. San Leandro, Wood out of Vacaville, who beat him 55-31, and Pittsburgh. I mean, there's not really a weak team here. Then you look at Antioch, who beat Acalanes by 55, Milpitas, who's a fairly good team, by 25, San Leandro by 23, but then Rancho Cotati, Pinole, and her Heritage really didn't put up much of a fight, and that is true. They have really not played a game past halftime. Maybe early in the third quarter against Milpitas, they were still in that game.
Yeah, well, we talked about Najee, Dan, just a handful of carries these last couple of weeks because the games have been such blowouts, but they are being challenged here as the Falcons have put up 2 touchdowns here in the fourth quarter and now trail just by 7 points. And now they have actually changed the clock here, guys. There's not 7 minutes, there's 7:24 to go. Here's the onside kick again, and over the far side it's going to go out of bounds. And boy, that was an interesting call, Dan, because I don't know why you'd want to give them the ball at midfield here as they go for the onside kick. Another risky play, and they come up snake eyes again. So good field position for the Panthers, but they were in this situation the last time, and it didn't work out.
Well, it worked the first time, Tony, but I do agree with you. And at that point, I might have made him go the whole entire distance of the field. But yeah, the timing in football anymore is way different than when you used to play that game. Nowadays, guys, they're not as worried about where you get the ball. They figure out they'll get 20 yards anyway. That's just going to take time off the clock. Give them the ball at midfield. But Harris he has under 30 yards rushing here in the second half. Antioch has not done much in the second half, Tony.
So
he had one big play.
Talking this one over, trying to sort things out. The ball just went out of bounds, so they threw the flag, spotted the ball. The Antioch offense very much ready to go here, but the officials not ready to unleash them just yet. So now we appear to be ready. 7:19 to go. A big possession here for Antioch.
And look at that formation. Harris is split out wide with Beltram and Payne in the backfield. So another different look for Antioch, but really the first time Antioch's been in a football game since last year in the playoffs.
Boy, the officials taking a long time to sort this one out. I'm really miffed here, guys, as to what could be the delay here. We had an onside kick go out of bounds. You throw the flag, you line it up, and you go. And the officials really struggling with this one. Now they're going to say illegal use of hands, and that's declined against the Falcons.
Freedom touched the ball before it went in yard. Antioch will take over.
Okay, so from the 49-yard line, first down to 10. Here for the Panthers. Can they salt this one away? Here's Payne. Left side, he's got some room. Going to be dragged down from behind, but not before he picks up nearly 7, maybe 8 yards, and it'll bring up second down.
Brandon Costin, the other Costin. the senior, made the tackle that time. A great pursuit tackle as he came up from behind Payne, and Payne can fly. So you're talking about a guy with big-time track speed, and Costin came all the way across and the linebacker spot made the tackle.
Yeah, and just in case you're wondering, they are brothers, the Costins.
And right up the middle and dragging the pile for a couple of more, close to first down yardage for Harris as he gets to the 40. This will bring up third down and short. And here, guys, is what the Falcons cannot afford. They cannot afford to have the Panthers grind out a couple of first downs here. Clock continuing to move here at 6:28 and counting. And, of course, they can ill afford to give up any type of score here on this drive. Certainly with this much time left, you do not want to fall down by 2 scores. Harris going to get it, tries up the middle, picks up the first down, picks up a couple of more. About 4 yards for Najee, just kind of grinding this one out. And at some point here, Dan, they're going to move the change, which will stop the clock here momentarily. But at some point here, guys, if the Falcons give up that next first down, they are going to have to start thinking about maybe using their timeouts on defense.
Well, the one thing Freedom has, as we've seen, is they have the ability to strike quick. There are some teams that we've seen who could not, they got the ball 75 yards away, take them 5-6 minutes to get down the field. Freedom has the ability. They've had 2 big plays here in the second half.
From the Falcon 36-yard line, first down and 10. And Harris going to get it, and Harris going to pick up some good yardage going up over that left side that time. So a pretty good gain there. That'll bring up second down. Clock continues to run.
Harris has been hit more tonight than he has in the past 6 games. I'll tell you, he's been not only getting hit by the first guy, but by 2 or 3 more. He's had to really work for his yardage titonight.
Picked up 5 yards on that carry. It'll bring up second down and 5. And the Falcons desperately need a turnover or a much, or at least a stop, but preferably a turnover. There's Najee looking over the sideline. Getting that play coming in from the sideline. Harris up the middle. Big hole for Najee. Najee inside the 10. Touchdown, Panthers. From 31 yards away, he has scored for the 4th time tonight. And the Panthers, with 5:08 to go, have made it a 2-touchdown game once again.
And that was a counter to the left side, but that time there was a hole. That time there was no one there to hit him at the line of scrimmage, and that time he outran the rest of the defenders to the end zone. That was a beautiful play, 4 touchdowns, and now he's getting closer to that 200-yard mark.
Before this game, I asked John Lucido, do you feel his team has stunted their growth a little bit with all these blowouts, pulling out all these starters in the second half? And he told me strictly no. That he believes in the maturity of his players, that they have grown through practice, and they are ready to participate in the fourth quarter when needed to.
Here's that 2-point conversion, Harris, and it looks like he has it. No signal from the officials, but that will be a 2-point conversion. And with 5:08 to go, the Panthers extend their lead back to more than 2 touchdowns. They now lead at 32-17. And how about that, guys, for an answer by the Antioch offense, going 49 yards for a touchdown.
That was impressive. It did show some maturity and some little bit of just kind of, we're not afraid. We know we just gave up, and we're going to go back and we're going to get on top. So Harris now 196 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 30 of Antioch's 32 points. And you could honestly say, not his greatest game. Freedom's giving him some trouble tonight, but he's just, folks, he's a special player. That's all you can really say.
Bothman Construction, our entire team is dedicated to achieving the highest possible quality on every project. That's Bothman Construction, Tailgater Sports Bar and Grill, 4605 Golf Course Road in Antioch. Watch a replay of tonight's game later tonight at Tailgaters, and thanks for the delicious crew meal. 32-17, 5:08 to go. Here's a look like an onside kick, is kind of pooching this one. It rolls, and Falcons are going to get on it at about the 39-yard line, and they'll have it there, 1st and 10. Verde Design, professional sports, landscape, architecture, civil engineering, sports planning, and design. That's Verde Design. RGM Construction Managers, specializing in conditioning, design, construction, and public facilities. And thanks to everybody that helps us bring to you Panther football. We could not do it without you.
And 2 weeks from tonight, Tony, we'll be right back here for the big do they have a name for that game?
Which one is that?
Antioch Deer Valley. There's the Big Little game. There's the Bell game. There's the Brentwood Bowl. Is there a name for the Antioch Deer Valley game?
Have they named that?
Yes, it's called the Mayor's Cup.
That's
there we
right.
go.
The
They
Mayor's
have a
Cup.
trophy for it and everything.
The Mayor's Cup. We'll have that one for you. Here's a throw deep down the far side. And the catch is made, and that is going to be a first down inside the 40-yard line. And that is Costin making the play there. So Falcons might not be done yet, Dan. Still 4:55 to go.
It's funny, Tony. The first about 22 minutes of this game, it was a pretty tight game. And since then, it's been an arena football game.
Up and down the field they go. Costin following that great play. He's got Freedom set up, the 37. And they give this one to Rivers, and he is going to get to about the 31-yard line. Picks up about 5 yards on that play. It'll bring up second down, and quickly Freedom called. No, they don't call timeout. There's an injury on the field.
Well, this is a really unfortunate play because I thought Sweeney still had the ball. And the Antioch defender, who's number 21, Jacob Rodriguez, came in and leveled Sweeney. I believe it was 21. Anyway, Tony leveled Sweeney because Sweeney was still looking like he had the ball in the pocket. He's going to get a penalty. Rivers had a nice run. This is really going to set up Freedom, and it's unfortunate because I don't.
Be a penalty.
I don't think that this kid. They called a penalty. You can see the flag out there. I don't think he really went after him in any sort of malicious way. He thought he had the ball and he tackled him. Rivers was running the ball over here, but
right.
This is what it ends up. I mean, you're going to get a roughing the quarterback or unsportsmanlike conduct.
Right, that's what the play is designed to do. That's what he's trying to do. He wants everyone to think he has the ball when he really doesn't. And it's unfortunate that he wasn't prepared to take a hit.
Oh, they're ejecting him from the game. Oh,
Was
no.
the hit that malicious? Was it a head-to-head contact?
No, but they're probably saying it was a late hit. I don't think the kid I think he legitimately thought the ball was in his hands. This is very unfortunate. I can see maybe giving him a penalty, but throwing him out of the game for this.
But in a situation like that, Dan, you've seen it so many times when the quarterback will fake the handoff to a running back, guys will tackle him.
Well, plus he had the ball. He had his hands up near his helmet, and he was coming from the opposite side. He had his hands like up here. You might not even be able to see it. That's the problem with a lot of this stuff that's going on in football nowadays. I don't think a lot of guys really set out to hurt people, but it's the way the game is played. When you go to make a hit and you see a guy, he might be standing straight up and down, and by the time you get there, you hit his helmet. Well, you didn't start out to hit his helmet and to crown him like some of these tackles and some of these things you see in games.
No, with all that
Sweeney
set
is
aside,
hurt. Go ahead.
We should let's hope that Joey Sweeney's okay. Big part of this team, one of the best players in this league. So this is a big blow for Freedom.
I've been very impressed. I go back, I used to referee his 7th grade basketball games, and he was a good athlete. And to see him out, I mean, he can throw the ball. I can't understand why some people aren't taking a look at this kid. I mean, legitimately to go on to another program, he can throw the ball.
He's also a 4.0 student to go with that. Now, he does have a couple of D schools looking at him. Like I said, a couple of state schools that were interested. Nobody official yet, but it does look like somewhere he's going to play football at the next level.
He has the size. He has the arm strength. He has the grades. So sooner or later, he will get an offer.
Send him to Dartmouth.
Well, didn't Ryan Fitzpatrick go to Harvard?
I believe so, yeah.
Right.
But and this is unfortunate. I really, there are times, like there was a couple penalties earlier when I said they were silly penalties. I don't think this kid tried to do this. I don't think it was part of the plan. It just happened that he ran the play so well that he got hit, and he got hit hard. And hopefully he's going to be okay.
Well, Luke said it. I mean, you're selling that play as a fake. You can't be angry if somebody comes up and tackles you when they think they have the ball.
We had a personal foul on that last.
So at personal foul, we're going to see where they're going to marking this ball. The Antioch defense, they are all down inside the 15-yard line. One player has taken a knee down there, so the Panthers are waiting. But in any event, guys, the Freedom Falcons are going to have excellent field position here for this next play. And it will be first down and 10 with still 4:47 to go, and they still have 3 timeouts left. But here's another thing, guys. Now, with Antioch able to continue to get those 2-point conversions, they're going to have to get one themselves. Dominic Mather now in the ball game at quarterback, number 15. So he'll be in the shotgun. And what a situation this is, guys, right off the bench. And it looks like they're asking him to throw the ball. Probably not. I would think Rivers would get it on this next play, but we'll see. First down and 10. Mather, and they are going to ask him to throw it. Rolling left, throwing for the end zone. In and out of the hands of the intended receiver. That is going to be incomplete. And that'll bring up second down, and that was Dominic Dominguez. And haven't heard a whole lot from Dominic tonight.
No, we have a score update. Big game going over in Brentwood, the Brentwood Bowl. Liberty finally on the board with less than 2 minutes to go. Sherrod Thompson back in the game. 4-yard touchdown run. There was a penalty on the PAT, so they decided to go for 2, and they did. It's 8-7 with 1:40 remaining.
Boy, after last week's Liberty game, what a turn of events that is from that high scoring up and down. Much tighter ball game tonight. Okay, here is Freedom now. Second down and 10. Rivers going to get it. Trying to get out to the left side, and he is hit and stopped. Good looking tackle there, trying to see who made that play. But Rivers not able to get very far. And that was Hafoka coming up there to make that play. And there you can see the hair.
Look for the hair.
Boy, and that linebacker, you talk about, a set of linebackers there. Hafoka having a great year, Perry having a great year, Beltram, one of the better players. And really, Dan, I was talking earlier with Antioch during the week, and they said no matter how good that Beltram's doing, Fene Hafoka might even be having a better year than his linebacker mate.
They have been having a great year, and it reminds me of a great duo you remember that played at Pittsburgh a number of years ago, Tino Felice and Sako Fafidi, who I still see regularly.
Yes.
Saka is a great guy, both of them. And I tell them, I think those are the two best linebackers I ever saw play together, and these guys are right there with them. I mean, Beltram, and there they are. And number 42 are he's probably a big Poison fan because he's got the hair for the hairband. Hafoka, I'd say this has been a really good football game. It's the first time we've really been able to call a game this year, Tony, other than the one we did over the hill that was close, where there's actually some tension. And this game ain't over yet, but it's going to be tough for Freedom with their backup quarterback trying to get in here.
Well, obviously 4-down territory here, Dan. So they've got they've got some wiggle room here. They don't necessarily have to throw for the end zone on this play. 3rd down to 12, and boy, Mather just does handle the snap. He does throw for the end zone and way out of bounds. Looking for Ronnie Rivers, covered by Payne, going to the end line, and that wasn't even close.
And I still haven't been able to ask you this, but who came up with 34-14 Long Beach Poly? How does that end up on the internet?
That is,
and it's not. It's 22-6 De La Salle. I mean, how does that even get put up? Is there some phantom De La Salle site that we don't know about out there?
Boy, you talk about not being able to get accurate information. My God, like why would that be something you'd lie about? I mean,
I know. Yeah.
How could you make it? It couldn't be just a general mistake, and that's just way.
It's too weird.
Too strange to call that one. Okay, 4th down and 12. And really a situation here where the Falcons need to convert, trailing 32-17. Now the whistles stop this one.
Antioch called time. They can get a first down about the 7-yard line, Tony, so we're going to have to wait and see. One thing we have not talked about, a couple of guys. You were talking about the triplets at Freedom, and it was Dante Mays, Darrell Daniels, and Joe Mixon. Of course, Mixon is at Oklahoma. Mays is at Nevada Reno, and Daniels is at Washington. So you got 3 D1. They have 6 former Falcons playing D1 football right now.
Great program. We talked about all the success they've had, Dan, unable to get out of that second round over and over and over again, but always very competitive is Kevin Hartwig's team. And again, looking good this year, but running into some very good football teams.
Now I'm actually going to see Darryl Green tomorrow. San Diego State plays at San Jose State. So I'll be there. I'm excited. It's my first Division I football game I will be attending.
Yeah, Darrell Green, Patrick Chowder, and Dom Fredrickson. Boogie! My old buddy Boogie, that's his kid who's playing there.
Dom, he will be in that game. Most likely not playing true freshman right now.
All right, here's that 4th down play, guys. Mather takes the high snap. Back, rolling to his right, looking. Now he's going to run, and he's going to be hit and stopped. And it is going to be first down going the other way. Big number 70 coming up to make that play for the Antioch Panthers. And Dan, we have this one every time I don't have a 70. on our roster.
There's a couple that we don't have on there, but that was just a little bit of inexperience. He could have ran when he went around that corner and probably got the first down, but he was waiting to get a receiver open, and then he waited too long. Antioch's defense able to come up and make the play. So Antioch here, if they can run out this clock, they will go to 7-0. Next week they have a game at Liberty, and then they'll be back here for Deer Valley on the 30th, and then at Pittsburgh. And if everything goes to the way people would anticipate it to go, that could be a 9-0 Antioch versus an 8-1 Pittsburgh for the BVL championship.
Yeah, Antioch has a few mid-season additions at linemen, a few out-of-state transfers. So that's what I'm assuming one of those players is at 70.
No, it looks like it's going to be an awesome finish to this 2015 season. Harris, not a whole lot of room that time. Clock ticking down to 3:33 and counting.
Harris down again, getting up slowly right now. I'm surprised I'm not putting in Perry for the rest of this game. Looks like they're waving him in, or maybe not. Yeah, they're waving him in.
So here comes Najee off the field. And Freedom, they still have a couple of timeouts with which to work. Have to start using them at some point here, but cannot afford to give up a first down here to Antioch if they're going to have any hopes of scoring a couple of touchdowns and trying to win this football game. And cuts it back up inside, and good-looking run by Perry, and that will be enough for a first down.
That just might wrap it up right there, Tony.
Boy, and
It's
Perry's
nice to have him,
slowing it
and now
up.
he's slowed, and he's reaching for the back of his leg.
Boy, that looked like he was clutching the back of his left knee that time.
Well, with him out, I think they're going to put in DeJuan Boyd, number 11, transfer from Deer Valley. It's funny, earlier you accidentally said he's from Pittsburgh. He played there his freshman year on the freshman football team. Transferred to Deer Valley his sophomore year, and now here at Antioch his senior year. Started in AYF, so funny how it circled around, back to the Antioch.
There's one thing about football, guys. Several times tonight, guys have gone down with injuries. Thank God none of them too serious, but it's kind of the nature of the game. I mean, you talk about the other sports, and, you got a chance to get hurt in any sport. In football, more than likely, you're going to get hurt.
Well, like you said, you got a chance to get hurt. Here you got a chance to get hurt any play. I mean, it's a rough game. Go ahead, Tom.
Tailgaters Sports Bar and Grill, 4605 Golf Course Road in Antioch. Watch a replay of tonight's game later on tonight at Tailgaters. And thanks for the delicious crew meal. Verde Design, professional sports, landscape architecture, civil engineering, sports planning, and design. That's Verde Design, RGM construction manager specializing in coordinating design and construction of public facilities. And thanks to all of our sponsors helping us bring to you Panther football. We couldn't do it without you.
And Perry was carried off the field. They're going to take a look at him on the bench.
Harris is back in the game right now.
Clock still motoring through here, down to under 2.5 to go. Harris going to get it. Spins away at the 30. Crosses the 40, 45. Straight arms a man. Gets into Falcon territory. And then dumped inside the 45. Down to the 42-yard line. Another huge play for Najee Harris. And listen to that crowd.
He's well over 200 yards now. And what you saw right there is you don't see a lot of times in a game, a battle between two Division I guys. Harris, of course, going to Alabama. And he's only a junior for those of you watching perhaps for the first time. And Fowler going to UNLV was the guy he basically took out on that play, and it needed some help to get down. And I tell you, you don't see that often, Tony. Two guys that you're going to be seeing down the road.
First down and 10, the Falcon 43-yard line. Here comes Payne in motion. Harris going to get it right up the middle, and Najee going to drag down. And, guys, a little bit awkward on that takedown. He looked like he almost had his left leg trapped underneath him. Guys, I think that should be his final carry of the night.
Yeah, I don't think you need to risk anymore with him, but and he doesn't need to get any more yardage. He's already the all-time leading rusher, the season leading rusher, the game leading rusher, practice leading rusher.
I remember last year, guys, as a team, they broke the all-time Panther rushing record, and that goes way, way back. So they've done a lot of good things over these last couple of years, and running the ball with Najee Harris, certainly the best thing they've been able to do in a number of years here at Antioch High School.
He's still in there.
Clock down to 1:19 and counting. Harris going to get the handoff, and he is going to push forward short of a first down here. They're going to mark him down to the 35-yard line.
Now a timeout.
So the Falcons, with a couple of touchdowns in this quarter, guys, made this one quite exciting. But again, in the end, it's just a little too much Najee and too much Antioch here for the Falcons.
Well, it's going to show you what Antioch's got to do. They needed a game like this. They needed a game where they were only up by 7 going into the fourth quarter, and they got it. So here's a look at Harris so far tonight. He's carried the ball 36 times for 251 yards. He scored all 4 touchdowns, 1 on a pass, and 3 out of the 4 2-point conversions.
Well, he's probably going to break Will Chamberlain's scoring mark at some point.
That's true. That's very possible. So Freedom, though, has played the rough part of their schedule. Nothing against Deer Valley Heritage and Liberty, but they should be favored in those games. And so you're looking at maybe Freedom 6-4, and they're going to have to go out and play in the lower end of the bracket in D1. They're going to have to play a first-round game. But they played Amador and beat them, and they played Foothill pretty tough. They played Antioch pretty tough. So it'll be interesting as we move along here in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
3rd down and 2. Antioch able to spill over and pick up that first down. Well, that'll make it first down and 10. They'll move the chains here. Clock stop with 1:02. And just 1 timeout left for Freedom. But at this point, I think it's going to be victory formation for the Panthers as they'll just kneel on it. And now Najee dropping way back in that safety position, just in case there were to be a fumble. Victory formation for Antioch. The Falcons are just watching, and now whistles blow this one dead. And were the Panthers lined up incorrectly? Is that the call? Illegal procedure against Antioch.
We couldn't finish without an Antioch penalty.
Apparently they're not practicing victory formation.
Yeah.
And that's really a formation they should have down by now.
It's pretty easy. You stand there, you hike the ball, and you kneel.
Illegal formation on victory formation. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But another wonderful outing for the Panthers. Still some things to clean up, Dan, with those penalties. But as Luke was talking about earlier, they were tested here in the fourth quarter. They haven't been really this season. And here they were, and they answered that test, and they passed it with flying colors. They take a knee, and that will wrap it up as the clock winds down. That will be a final from Antioch High School. The final score, Panthers 32 and the Falcons 17.
The Falcons very game tonight. We hope Joe Sweeney's okay after that play. Like I said, I don't really think that was meant to happen, but it was an unfortunate play nonetheless. And the only reason I say that, Tony, is I thought he still had the ball. And I caught out of the corner of my eye Rivers with the ball, and then I saw the hit, and I think that's why that happened. We still hope that he's okay. Freedom will, they'll see him again. Freedom is a tough team. They played him very tough out here tonight. They hit Najee Harris, like I said, more than he's been hit this entire season if you combined all the hits together. And he's going to be sore tonight, but the Antioch comes out with a victory. They got a couple of guys they might have to look at injury-wise, but next week they play Liberty, and then they play Deer Valley before the big matchup against Pittsburgh in 3 weeks.
Well, you talk about this game here, Dan, and really you go back to the beginning of the early part of the football game on those 3 possessions, the 2 fumbles by Rivers and the one stumbling a little bit and then falling on that 3rd down and short, turning into 4th and long where they had to punt. There were 3 drives where it looked like the Falcons had a chance to get points, could have made this a much different football game.
No, that's true. Their mistakes cost them, and as our partner said, mental mistakes for Freedom, physical mistakes for Antioch, basically. But, Antioch, once again, you look at the penalties, they don't hurt you as much when you can get back that stuff. When you have a player that can make the offensive play like Harris, when you have guys like Hafoko and you have guys like Belcher make defensive plays, you give up, it's like, okay. But when you give the ball away, that is something you can't get back. And that's where Antioch capitalized tonight and ultimately go to 7-0. And I can tell you, Tony, it's been a long time since there's been a 7-0 Antioch Panther team. And this is a team that's being looked at not only in the local picture but the state picture. And it's gonna keep getting better for the Panthers if they keep winning ball games.
Antioch goes to 7-0. The Panthers 7-0 and 2-0 in league. For the Freedom Falcons, they fall to 3-4 overall as they drop this one here tonight. Well, for all of us here at Panther Football, for Luke Johnson, for Dan Wall, I'm Anthony Schultz saying so long from Antioch, and you are watching National Prep Stars and Delta TV, and we'll see you down the road. Good night from Antioch High School.
Utah State 52, Boise State 20 in the fourth quarter. Well, the Earthquakes keeping their playoff hopes alive by a touch. Up 1-0.